Welcome to Watch, Review, Repeat. Oh, let me start that over. Welcome to Watch, Review, Repeat. I don't know where I went with that little pronunciation there at the end.
Ended up morphing into Dracula.
Well, yeah, it's kind of supposed to be the...
Yeah.
All right, I did all right. Okay. Anyway, This is the podcast where two best friends discuss the latest in film and television and then do it all over again the following episode. My name is Colton Brown, and joining me is Andrew Meadows.
Hi there.
Hello there. And in case our listeners hadn't figured it out from what I was doing there, the little bit there, plus what we're covering on this episode, Beetlejuice.
I'll say his name.
Beetlejuice squared. Oh shit, I said it. Oh God. Hey, what are you doing?
That's pretty good.
Nice fucking model.
It's funny.
Happy Halloween. That's what I'm going for. I'm trying to say that it's spooky season fully properly. We are in the midst of spooky season as we're recording this. Ideally, if things go well, this is going up just in time for Halloween.
Hey.
For those, listening to this on day one anyway. Obviously, if you wait too long, then it's November and you're just, you're a sucker. You're a loser, okay?
Don't be a loser.
No, that's all right. I always feel like I'm playing catch up. You know what I mean? Like middle of October hits and it's like, oh my God, I haven't watched anything yet. I haven't done anything yet.
Yeah,
and so
that's a thing.
It takes me through halfway through November so that I'm done with the spooky season stuff, and then it's Thanksgiving, and then it's Christmas, and it's just a whole vicious cycle. But anyway, for those of you who are listening to this on day one or on Patreon, thank you very much. Happy Halloween, happy spooky season to you all, and we're here to celebrate because we're following up on our Alien Romulus accidental October spooky season episode, which was recorded over a month ago. Sorry. With Beetlejuice, which, as it turns out, is also a movie that came out not recently from when we're putting out this episode. It came out in September, but I would argue September was always a weird release date for it anyway. It's totally
Absolutely.
an October sort of movie. And although we are late, it works out in some ways because, like when we put out our Deadpool and Wolverine episode out super, super fucking late, that had gone out on video on demand. Beetlejuice is out on video on demand as well.
We've been reduced to, do you pay for video on demand?
Correct.
That's how we do our reviews.
That
wait
needs
to
to
stream
go into
it
our calculus.
Free or wait to or pay to stream it.
See, but we're in really good position now because with the other episodes, I can't remember what we said for Alien Romulus. I think we speculated that it was going to be on VOD soon, but I don't think we really treated it as like a formal recommendation. I think we were still going with go see this in theaters as the top tier response. We definitely did that for Deadpool and Wolverine because when we recorded it, it was only out for a couple weeks. It just happened to take so fucking long to get out to the masses that it was out on VOD. So we didn't really contemplate that we would need to have a VOD recommendation or not. However, with this episode, we do know that we're over a month late with its theatrical release. It's probably still playing in theaters here and there, but it's like little rinky-dink cinemas and stuff like that. VOD may be more bang for your buck depending on who's watching. You bring a friend over, you got a significant other.
Maybe
dog,
you pause it
dog
when
gets a ticket.
The kids come and
Maybe
ring the
you
doorbell
pause
to
it.
trick or treat.
Totally. So yes, we will factor that into our recommendation when we talk about Beetlejuice squared, aka Beetlejuice. Hey, it's all right. This is a great Halloween-centric episode, as our listeners will soon find out. I tried to keep the news and headlines and trailers a little bit on brand with horror and spooky season, type things. Some of it's a little bit of a stretch, but I'm going to stretch it there and fit it in the box somehow. But I didn't have quite enough to totally go completely on brand or on theme with it, but I tried my best.
And that's
anyway,
what counts.
It's been a while for Andrew and I since we've recorded, I guess, in case that hasn't been made clear already. So we'll probably have a decent amount to catch up with when we get to our catching up section. So yet again, we joked about it being quarterly releases. It's about monthly releases on average now. But
in my defense,
monthly recording sessions. Andrew gets a huge pass here. This is. I mean, I don't know if you want to get into what's been going on over down in Florida right off the bat, or if you want to save that for later.
Wild.
Things have been a little topsy turvy down there. I think nature is trying to destroy the state of Florida, is how I might put it. But
you're not entirely wrong. Yeah. So
you're still here. Florida is still here for now. So hopefully for the rest of this hurricane season to put that out there. But anyway, lots to get to on this episode. So why don't we get to the next thing that we need to talk about? Maybe a fun fact about Beetlejuice, if maybe one Mr. Meadows would be so kind as to offer one.
I do have a fun fact for you guys. It's a little strange for me coming in with a fun fact, but
well, it's once upon a time, it's how it was.
Gherkins,
so it's really
right.
It's really a return to tradition.
So Beetlejuice, the original Beetlejuice, came out in I think it was like the late 80s. Is that right? Is that an 80s movie? I think so.
It is definitely an 80s movie. I don't know if it's late.
It's got to be at least 87, something like that. 87, 88.
88, yes. Yeah. I would call that late 80s. Yes. I was like, I know it's before Batman, which is 89, so I wasn't sure how much
early
before,
it really was. Yeah.
So 88. Yes, absolutely. You are correct.
And on a side note, the score of the original Beetlejuice fucking slaps. It is an incredible score. Oh man. Oh. It really. It's a total groove.
Absolutely. Yes.
Anyways, Beetlejuice was successful. People like Beetlejuice. And they, in fact, wrote a second Beetlejuice movie, supposed to come out in the 90s, early 90s. Beetlejuice was going to be in Hawaii. They were gonna I think it's the Dietz family. I think that's their last name,
right? Yeah,
Dietz family was gonna make from what I've read, they were gonna make a condominium or something like that in Hawaii, but it was gonna be built on an ancient burial ground, and somehow Beetlejuice was gonna be involved in some capacity, and it was gonna be wild and crazy. But they made Batman. They made the sequel to Batman, I guess, is probably more accurate.
Batman Returns. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, we got another Batman, I guess. So, or was it the original Batman? No, I think it was a sequel to the Batman.
Yeah, I think timeline-wise, you'd have Beetlejuice and then Batman back to back, and then by the time he's done with Batman, it's is it a Beetlejuice 2 or is it a Batman 2? And I guess clearly Batman Returns won out.
Yeah, so that's it. We would have had a sequel to the Beetlejuice movies probably before that guy was convicted of some not so pleasant things. The Mr. Dietz. Mr. Dietz, Mr. Dietz is going to be with Mr. Dietz or Diddy, I guess, is probably sharing a cell with Mr. Dietz, I guess. But
yeah, well, I mean, not to offer a defense of Mr. Jeffrey Jones. However, I do think Diddy's offenses probably are a little worse, or at least numerically would qualify.
Probably numerically,
a bigger prison sentence, perhaps. Should he be, tried and convicted and all that
That's
stuff.
That's right, absolutely.
Innocent until proven guilty, although he's definitely fucking guilty. So, in my personal public opinion. Jeffrey Jones.
Jeffrey Jones is the guy I was talking about, yeah.
Yes, 2003. So yes, he that was when his little pedophilic behavior came to light and became criminalized and stuff. And I think he's been prosecuted a few different times for failing to register as a sex offender in subsequent years. Classic sort of thing. And I think his film career has largely died. I think they brought him back for that Deadwood movie, which was kind of.
They bring him in. He was in Deadwood.
He was in the series, and then when they made that one-off movie, which I think was kind of intended to be,
I think he was pretty prolific actor in like the 80s to 90s.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean the whole soliciting a minor to take nude pictures of the minor kind of killed his career, which I think does makes sense. I think makes sense.
Or whatever the Beetlejuice noises are.
The juice is loose.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's loose on the streets, but he's not making movies, so there's that. And he's probably still required to register as a sex offender. So anyway, we have veered far away from fun facts into facts. So maybe we should continue to veer into a different direction. Thank you for your fun fact. Your fact is actually fun. And then it got off.
Yeah,
course
as they do in the weeds.
I would be super down for a Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian, as it would have been called. I think that would have been pretty fucking cool, pretty neat. Probably wouldn't have been as good as the first one because what is? But at the same time, it didn't happen. I feel like the first film, which we'll probably talk about a little bit before we really fully dive into Beetlejuice, it's a fucking banger. It's a certified classic.
Definitely.
And I feel like it's one of those things that it didn't need a sequel. But I think that the idea of making a sequel many decades later is maybe in some ways more appealing than it would have been to just kind of keep, firing off Beetlejuice movies every other year. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know. Like Batman sequel totally makes fucking sense, and it had Tim Burton continue to make weird ass Batman movies. That would have been fine. Obviously, he, left the, franchise after Returns, but I think Tim Burton could have made 5 Batman movies that would have been absolutely batshit and I think pretty entertaining. 5 Beetlejuice movies, even like a trilogy of Beetlejuice movies. I don't know. I don't know
if I need it.
I don't know if you need it. I think you'd struggle to recapture the same sort of zaniness and magic and we'll obviously be talking about whether they could do it decades later, but I think to do it in a short span of time I think would be really, really difficult. But anyway, as I said, we're going to veer into another direction. We are going to go from fun facts to facts to facts. Because we have an in memoriam section, because of course we do. Because
it's Halloween.
It's Halloween. Dead people is certainly on theme. But also because it's been over a month since we recorded last. And so, inevitably, the passing of time has brought us...
tasteless transition.
Oh yeah, super tasteless. The passing of time has brought us, unfortunately, some passings of notable actors, figures, and I will say, if you want to, I don't know if this is a tasteless thing to say as well, but all of these people were 80 plus years old, and I feel like that makes me feel a little bit better about it. It's still sad. Were they obviously
knocking on the attic door?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit, sure, it's like, okay, you feel, I personally feel if I can make it to 80 plus, would I want to live longer? Of course, absolutely. But I feel like that's a pretty
full life.
Solid run.
Yeah.
That's a full life right there. And we're going to talk about 3 people that had full fucking lives, full fucking careers, notable storied careers, who will leave behind, all 3 of them, and in different ways, because a lot of these people couldn't be further apart from each other in terms of their careers and what they did and their impact on pop culture and everything. But at the same time, I think all 3 are storied people with storied careers and storied legacies. So 3 names that we are going to talk about. 3 people. Dame Maggie Smith is who we're going to talk about first, who I think probably for you and I is most recognizable as Professor McGonagall from the Harry Potter film series, which is not to say that is all she did in her career. She had an extensive on-stage and screen career to become one of Britain's most recognizable and prolific actresses, to borrow Wikipedia's words. 2 Academy Awards, 5 BAFTA Awards, 4 Emmy Awards, 3 Golden Globes, a Tony, nominations for 6 Olivier Awards. She's one of the few performers to earn the Triple Crown of Acting. I don't even know what that means. Academy Award, Emmy Award, and Tony. So I guess no Grammy for her, so she's not an EGOT. Yeah, she passed away at age 89 in late September. Again, of course, Professor Minerva McGonagall in the Harry Potter film series, an incredible performance. She was also, in terms of kind of more recent appearances, had a major role in the British series Downton Abbey, which I can't say that I've ever watched, but people fucking love that show. And beyond that, I mean, a lot of things that I haven't seen personally. I will say, I have to confess that I haven't seen her in everything. But
I sure did watch her in Harry Potter, though.
We could be here a long time talking about the things that she was in. The Prime of Miss Jean Brodie, California Suite, Othello, Travels with My Aunt, A Room with a View, Gosford Park. Those are ones that she was nominated for Oscars, and just to rattle off some movies that I haven't seen before. She was made a dame by Queen Elizabeth II in 1990, which is pretty fucking cool. The king paid tribute, okay? The king, he's got doing things, but King Charles described her as a national treasure. The beloved British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, that's a joke, said she was beloved by so many for her great talent. Daniel Radcliffe, who, of course, is Harry Potter,
yes,
fondly remembered her fierce intellect and gloriously sharp tongue. And Miriam Margolis, who played Professor Sprout in the Harry Potter and probably also shared many other roles with her, if I had to guess, called her the best of the best. Ferocity, a glint of mischief, delight and tenderness, and enormous courage. Yeah.
A lot of people have a lot of
people that we could be here for a long, long time saying these nice things, relaying all the nice things that were said about Dame Maggie Smith. But
what is a dame?
89. Well, a dame is I think it's like an honorary title. It's the equivalent of being knighted.
Is a dame the equivalent of a knight?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So, they don't just hand it out like candy. You got to earn that shit. You got to, have left your stamp on British culture to I think to have that warranted, to have that bestowed upon you as an honor. And I don't know what the qualifications are. I don't know if it's just like fucking royal family feels like it's
hey, we like you,
good, right? I don't know exactly how that works, but I can tell you again, citing
they don't like you enough to make you a knight, so
the most excellent order. I think we've done this before. I think we've gone down this rabbit hole now that I've seen this Wikipedia page. The most excellent order of the British Empire was established in 1917 by King George V to recognize such persons, male or female, as may have rendered or shall hereafter render important services to our empire, to the citizens of the Commonwealth, which is typically citizens of the United Kingdom, but also Commonwealth realms outside of the UK as well, can technically be recipients of this honor. But again, it's mostly British people. I think that
I shall render things
seems to be impacted.
Kingdom.
So, I mean, you got. I mean, hopefully the king's listening, because then he might think about doing it.
Mr. Meadows.
I assume an American has been knighted, but I actually don't know that for a fact. But we can't get into that rabbit hole either. We've gone down too many rabbit holes already.
Let's continue forth.
So let's continue forth. We will say rest in peace, of course, to Dame Maggie Smith. Best wishes to her family. And move on to talking about singer and songwriter and actor Kris Kristofferson, who passed away age 88, also late September. Died at his home in Maui, Hawaii. Hey, worse ways to go, I'm sure. Died peacefully, surrounded by his family. He was a very, very accomplished singer-songwriter through the 70s, 80s. Began acting a little bit more, mostly in the early 70s. I think in terms of kind of most recognizable film roles, he was in the 1976 version of A Star Is Born, which I think was the second film version of it, alongside Barbra Streisand, and he played, the rock and roll star, who, things don't go well for.
He's got a hard time,
but has a hard time. Successful, and then and then maybe he isn't as much. So he was in that. He was nominated I'm sorry, he earned a Golden Globe Award for Best Actor in A Star Is Born musical comedy. He was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Original Score for the film Songwriter, 1984 film, in which he also starred. And I think for, again, if we're going to pick out like a most recognizable role for you and I, it might be the role of Abraham Whistler in the Blade film trilogy, the Wesley Snipes Blade film trilogy. He was Whistler, who was Blade's mentor, and who kind of trained him.
How about that?
So, yeah. So
I was convinced I did not know who this guy, who this man was.
But you've seen
his
him in
name
something.
Didn't ring a bell. I haven't looked up any of his music or anything. It's like I don't know who that is. Especially when the news hit, there were people that talked about how he interacted with them on stage and stuff, and how he was just a real gentleman. He's just a real good guy. But I didn't recognize him.
Yeah, I think by all accounts, I think he was a gentleman's gentleman. 3-time Grammy Award winner, nominated 13 total times. I don't really have any sort of attachment to his music. I think he's principally a country singer, which is not really my cup of tea. I don't dislike it. Some of it I dislike. I take that back. But I think probably old school country I can vibe with a little bit more, but this is still very much outside of my realm. So I don't really have anything to offer on his musical career other than I know that he was very successful with it. He was in the Army at one point. Fun fact is he has a lot of children. He has 8 children, and I know one of them was in the Coast Guard because I was in the Coast Guard at the same time as him. So
wow, you were in the Coast Guard at the same time as one of his children?
Yes, I was. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, met him. We weren't. I wouldn't say we were friends, but we ran in the same circles, kind of that sort of thing. So
holy shit,
kind of neat.
That is pretty neat.
So anyway, that's not what this is about, but it's a fun fact. So anyway, rest in peace to Kristofferson, another person that leaves behind a lot. And then lastly, certainly not least, John Amos died, and I don't know if this is a name that necessarily rings bells for you. I didn't really know who he was too much until I watched a show called The West Wing, which he played a recurring role as Admiral Percy Fitzwallace. It was a very memorable role in that. And
it's a memorable name.
He actually passed away in August, but his the announcement was not actually given out to the public until I think around October.
Oh wow!
And I don't think he was quite as prominent of a name, I guess you would say, as a Maggie Smith, or a Dame Maggie Smith, or a Kris Kristofferson. But he definitely had some really memorable roles. I think best known, probably for most, not necessarily for you or I, for playing the adult Kunta Kinte in the 80s miniseries Roots, 70s, late 70s, sorry, not 80s, and had I think a lot of other smaller roles, supporting roles. Was on the Mary Tyler Moore Show. Was in Die Hard 2, so you've probably seen him in Die Hard 2.
That. Yeah, okay.
He was in Coming to America and Coming to America, the number 2 in there, the sequel, and many other things as well. Again, long list. A lot of TV work for sure. And yeah, 84. All right, okay, not so bad, but it's just sad, and it just kind of. Every time someone dies, you just kind of go back and you're like, oh yeah, they were in that. Oh yeah, and you really just kind of see how it all piles up, and then how much, someone that does this for decades and decades, these little things that they just pop up in and leave a little bit of an impact on you or I, but obviously with such a breadth of work, has touched so many people in so many different ways, with so many different roles like this. And like I said, that little role in The West Wing for me, I thought he's one of the most memorable characters I think in The West Wing,
right?
And
maybe that's amazing. He's got a major role in The West Wing.
Yeah, so I just think that would be not the same without him. That role,
sure.
He makes it as memorable as it is. I think so. So rest in peace to John Amos as well. So let's move on to some headlines. We didn't do headlines last time. We talked about D23 for a while. Lots of, Star Wars, Marvel, Disney stuff, and there's probably a little bit of that here and there. But some headlines, and we'll have some trailers. I think we are certainly not quite caught up on news, but I tried to include as much as we, as we could here, and not be here for 7 hours. But we'll try to play a little bit more catch up over the next couple episodes as well, and then hopefully we'll be on a pretty good pace, to not be trying to catch up on everything. And of course, none of this is going to be exhaustive. We definitely had to pick and choose the things that feel like the most interesting things to talk about, or at least in my assessment feel like the most interesting things to talk about. So anyway, I don't really have a good way to tie this into the whole horror theme, but we're going to talk about the Emmys, the 76th Emmy Awards, the 2024 Emmys. I guess we could say rest in peace to the Bears' run as best comedy series, because it was dethroned. So is that good? Is that good enough? Does that work? So yeah, I mean, in terms of just the major storylines, The Bear won a lot of awards, but it did not win Best Comedy Series. One might argue it's because it's not a comedy. I haven't watched it, so I can't confirm.
Neither have I.
Obviously, there's a lot of talk about that, and that could be it. But Hacks, the TV show Hacks, won Best Comedy, which I've heard very, very good things about. I think its second or third season was what was up for the award. The Emmys paid a lot of respect to Shogun. Shogun awarded it 4 Emmys in addition to the 14 Creative Arts Emmys that it already won, which is to say that Shogun has broken the record for the most wins by a show in a single season in terms of overall Emmys awarded. So 18 total Emmys went to Shogun. The big ones that it won on the night were Outstanding Drama Series. Okay. Makes sense. Seems totally fair. Over the likes of The Crown, Fallout, The Gilded Age, The Morning Show, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Slow Horses, and Three Body Problem. And it had some well-deserved acting wins. Anna Sawai won for Outstanding Lead Actress.
Yeah, for sure.
She's fucking incredible. And Hiroyuki Sanada won for Outstanding Lead Actor because he was fucking incredible. And I think Best Directing. It won Best Directing for a drama. I think one single episode gets
Isn't
nominated.
It one episode?
So actually,
is that what they do?
I think when they do the directing things, I think that's generally
Which episode
how it works.
Was it?
That's what I'm trying to confirm, because obviously especially with TV shows, you might have a different director for every episode. I don't know if you can have an award for.
It was a pretty incredible show.
People.
I wouldn't mind a rewatch of it, to be honest.
Well, season 2, that'll, do it in time for season 2.
Okay.
It is for, okay. I was going to guess it was for the 9th episode, Crimson Sky, is what it was, not what they submitted, and that's what they won for, was Crimson Sky, the penultimate episode, which is obviously kind of the big Mariko episode.
Oh.
Yes. So.
Okay. Yeah, I see. Okay. Yeah, I definitely see that. Okay.
Yep. So in terms of other storylines, like I said, The Bear did win a lot. I think it won basically all the acting awards that it was nominated for.
How many seasons is that show, or is it still going?
The Bear is still going. The 3rd season aired, although I think because of some weird fuckiness, this was only for the 2nd season, so the 3rd season will be reflected in the next Emmys. I don't know, man. It's all confusing. You have to, stuff has to air by a certain cutoff point to be eligible for 1 year's awards, and then if not, then it gets rolled to the. I don't know. Kind of confusing. Baby Reindeer won Outstanding Limited Series or Anthology. Richard Gadd won, I believe, a acting and writing award separately as well. And Jessica Gunning, who played Martha, Sent from My iPhone, won Supporting Actress. I don't know if you. I think maybe Sarah was watching that at one point. I don't know if you ended up watching any of that.
What is it?
Baby Reindeer.
Oh. I never watched it. Godly. I don't think I finished it. I think she made me watch a few of it, but I did a little bit of it, but I didn't watch a whole lot. I don't know if she finished it or not.
It's pretty good. I think it's very good actually, but it's a huge fucked up show. Like it's not I would recommend people to watch. I think I would have talked about it in the catching up section.
I think so. Like you would feel like if it was recommended to you, you'd kind of question the person that recommended it.
Yes, I'd be like, what's wrong
with you? What the fuck are you into?
Like, yeah. Because it gets pretty heavy and in ways you don't expect it to get heavy. What starts as a sort of like, oh, stalking is, it's weird, she's weird, and then it gets really fucked up. But it's very good. It is very good.
I think I did finish it.
I recommend it on a
professional
very
level.
Well-made show that I think is worthy of the accolades that it received at the Emmys. However, I don't think that it is an enjoyable show to watch.
That's fair.
So, I think there's that. Like you could certainly find better things to do with your time if you want to keep yourself happy and not miserable as, a sad sack watching shit. So anyway, other things won, obviously. I think John Oliver won his, variety show or variety series thing. And there's others that won. Elizabeth Debicki won for The Crown playing Diana. Plenty of others to recognize, but go look up the full list for yourself, or if you cared enough, you would have found out over a month ago probably. So we're very late to the party catching up on this sort of thing, but I'm catching Andrew up because I know he didn't pay attention.
I did not watch it. No.
So there we go.
It's nice to see Shogun.
At least to have an audience of one.
God.
Yes, this is if nothing else, an opportunity to yet again recommend Shogun. Go watch it, FX, Hulu. Go listen to our episode if you want to, obviously hear our full thoughts on it. But suffice it to say, it's an incredible show, and suffice it to say, probably in January of 2025, roughly around then,
you're going to hear more about it.
We will talk about
sure.
Shogun again. I suspect we will. It's just where we talk about it. That's the question. Okay, so moving on. How do I tie this in? Well, we're going to get a John Wick sequel series. Let's start there. That's the headline. And so, is it...
if you're misogynistic, it could be a horror movie because, well, you have a female lead kicking ass. And I saw the internet after that trailer was released. And...
Okay.
Buddy. Buddy. People don't like females that kick ass, apparently.
No. But we're gonna talk about that trailer later, which I think you're talking about. But no, we're gonna get also a separate sequel series as well.
Oh, I got into the weeds. I got excited.
Which is I think maybe, I don't know. I guess like, the John Wick franchise maybe could be left dead, but they're Walking Deading it or something like that. Is that maybe you could make that argument? They did the Continental show with Mel Gibson for some fucking reason.
Daryl Dixon is. Oh wait, hold on a second.
Daryl Dixon's he's going to be in that movie too. We'll get to it. You're getting ahead of yourself, but we'll get there. I promise you, we will get there. But we're in headlines. I don't know. It's a little bit of a stretch here, but I think you could make the argument that Lionsgate is pissing on the John Wick franchise by continuing to dilute it further, and make more shit. But I don't think that's really a fair enough argument because this is going to be a John Wick sequel series, a television series called John Wick Under the High Table. But it's going to be executive produced by Keanu Reeves and Chad Stahelski, who has been, obviously both of them have been involved in all of the John Wick movies to this point. And I don't think we're very involved, if at all, in the Continental, which maybe explains why it was kind of a weird charade sideshow thing. But this is going to pick up directly after the end of John Wick Chapter 4. It's going to have a collection of new characters looking to make a name for themselves. It will also feature the return of some franchise characters, so it's new and old, thrust the Wick universe into a new age. I don't know. I hope not, because I feel like that was also one of the problems with the Continental was like, I don't know, man.
I don't
want on Peacock. Yeah, like, I don't want that. Does that excite anyone? Like if I told you the show it's a Peacock original, you're like, oh, okay, I'm not gonna watch that.
Like we had the Olympics were on Peacock, right?
Right. Yeah, sure.
So I had to buy Peacock to watch the Olympics, and
Okay. Yeah.
then I saw that I was getting charged for Peacock after the Olympics. I'm like, fuck that.
Absolutely not.
Canceled it. Yeah.
Catch me in 2 years, fucking Winter Olympics maybe, but you're not going to catch me before then.
What are you doing?
I don't know. So, in terms of what's going on, this is a, continuation of it, probably without John Wick himself, who theoretically is dead, although there's apparently going to be a 5th John Wick movie. Maybe it's an interquel type of thing. There is another movie that we're going to talk about in trailers that has a trailer for it, and it's got a lady kicking ass, and maybe that upsets people. We'll get into it. But there's also apparently the fucking spinoff for Donnie Yen, his blind character, the other, not the Star Wars character, but the blind John Wick character who kicks ass. So there's a lot of John Wick going on. All right. So my question to you is, a John Wick sequel series, does that intrigue you? Does that interest you? Or would you be compelled to watch that if it were not on Peacock, if it were on a Netflix or a Max or something like that?
Maybe. I don't know. It's so hard with TV shows because like Peacekeeper or whatever.
Sure.
Was on Max, and I didn't dislike him or his character or any of that.
Is that what it's called?
Huh?
I feel like Peacekeepers I feel like that's wrong, but my brain can't figure out what the right name would be. Peacemaster? No, that's not it.
No, that's not. You know what I'm saying, though, right?
I know, it's the John Cena guy.
Yeah,
with the fucking helmet.
Peacemaker. Peacemaker kind of sounds kind of The Boys, kind of, doesn't it?
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe that is right. I'm gonna look it up because now I'm like questioning myself.
Welcome to my brain.
No, it is Peacemaker. Is that what you said?
Peacemaker, Peacekeeper.
Peacekeeper? Peacemaker.
It's Peacemaker?
Peacemaker. Okay. Did you say Peacekeeper? I don't know.
I can't remember.
I feel like you said it wrong at first, but it also could just be like, that's not real.
Either way,
Peacemaker.
I don't dislike that character.
I understand. Sure.
But
did you watch a TV show about it?
I didn't.
Probably,
I did not.
I didn't
But you
fucking
watch it.
didn't.
I even heard that it was pretty decent. I still didn't watch it.
I watched the first episode and liked it, and watched none of the rest of it.
I'm watching Shogun.
Yeah.
I'm watching Chernobyl. You know what I'm saying? So
Sure.
I feel like
you can't watch everything. You got to pick and choose.
You got to pick and choose. That's right. But at the same, I want to try to act like I'm like, oh, well, I'm watching high quality television, but I also I'm knee deep in Lord of the Rings right now. So I don't know if that's the same
Tell me that's not quality television. Let's get into that.
So probably not the best, but you have to pick and choose. And I don't think I'd be picking that.
I guess it's also a question. It's just like,
is Ana de Armas in
know.
it? That's the question.
Well, is it 8 episodes? Does it need to be? Is it 10 episodes? Does it need to be?
That's
is it a 2-hour movie? Like something about a 2-hour just Keanu Reeves led action movie compels you, even if it is the same thing. Kind of in 4 different ways.
You're in, you're out.
Whereas a non Keanu Reeves perhaps involved 10 episode series. I don't know
of
if
a bunch of random assassins doing cool action stuff.
Or even if they do throw Ana de Armas in for an episode or two,
is it worth it?
I don't know if that's enough. Throw Ian McShane in there for an episode. Jonathan, okay, that's cool, man. I like it. You can't get Lance Reddick, so you're losing out there, unfortunately.
And I think that Ana de Armas and Mr. Black feel the same way. They want to be in and out too. They want to show up, do their bits, and leave.
Right.
So you're not going to have I don't know. I don't buy it personally. I don't think it's going to be something I'll watch.
All right. Well, we'll wait for a trailer, I guess, and see if its direction convinces us. But I do feel the same way overall. Being like, meh, I'm not sure that I care that much. So anyway, we'll see what happens. All right. Another headline. We've got 5 headlines total, just to flag that. So number 3, headline number 3. All right, we're getting into things that are a little bit more on theme. This is more of a thriller. It's more of a thriller type thing that it's going to be, not necessarily straight horror or anything like that. But we're getting another version of The Running Man. Did you ever see that original? Did you ever see the movie The Running Man? The Arnold Schwarzenegger movie.
Oh, yeah.
1987.
I did see The Running Man. For some reason, I was thinking about Gemini Man with Will Smith.
I assume you didn't see that for good reason. So you have seen The Running Man, all right? TV show where, criminals have to escape death, blah blah blah, that sort of thing.
Actually, no. If it was a TV show, I didn't watch it.
It's a movie about a program, in which people are being hunted and it's being shown on TV.
What
that
the
sort
fuck
of
is
thing.
this? I feel like I've seen all of Arnold movies. The Running Man. Continue, please. I'll tell you if I've seen it.
Anyway, it's getting a new adaptation with Edgar Wright directing.
Okay,
which is pretty interesting. It's the original Running Man, and which is going to be true of this one as well, is based off of a 1982 novel called The Running Man, published under the pseudonym Richard Bachman, but the true writer was Mr. Stephen King.
How about that?
So it's a Stephen King book that's getting another adaptation with Edgar Wright, and the news, other than the fact that it's happening, is we are learning who's going to be part of the cast. Coming in to lead the cast, Mr. Twisters himself, Glen Powell, is here.
Sold.
He's here. He's going to be joined by the likes of Josh Brolin as the villain.
Sold. Okay. What else
Katie
do we need?
O'Brien, and Lee Pace. Lee Pace is going to be in it as well. And so that's what you got. Story centers on Ben Richards, a desperate man who participates in a violent reality show called The Running Man in order to win enough money to revive his gravely ill daughter. The show follows Richards being chased by numerous hunters sent to kill him. So one would speculate that Mr. Glen Powell will be playing Mr. Ben Richards in this adaptation. From Edgar Wright, who we know is going to bring it stylistically, and he's one of the most creative directors out there, I think, in terms of just how he chooses to make his movies. And this isn't horror-y in the same way that Soho was, Last Night in Soho, but it's definitely, got some thrillery sorts of vibes to it. So I think it fits the theme, And so, unlike, say a John Wick sequel series, not really having my full interest, this has my attention, I think.
It's got the right director and the right cast. Yeah. And
sure.
it's a movie. Yeah. It's not a show.
It is a movie. It is a movie.
Yeah.
It's a movie about a television show.
I'm interested.
That this guy's going to be on. Yes.
I agree.
Okay. All right. Well, can I sell you on another book adaptation? Something also had been previously adapted in the past, like The Running Man had been. How about American Psycho? Are you ready for another adaptation of American Psycho?
Does Glen Powell star as Patrick Bateman?
He
could do it.
No cast announced, but I don't dislike that. And I think it would be a good kind of
Am I onto something? Yeah.
Sort of against type in the sense that, I think that he could fucking nail just the the yuppie sort of nature of what that character is. But I think, Glen Powell with a little bit of edge. We haven't really seen him with that much edge yet.
No,
he's always charming. He's always just Mr. Charming, handsome man. No edge. So I think give him a little bit of edge. He's a fucking serial killer. That's a little bit of edge right there. I don't know. I'm gonna like that. I think that's an interesting prospect. I like it. We are getting a new adaptation of American Psycho. It is going to be coming from director Luca Guadagnino, who I think is actually a very good pick for this. I'll say. But for reference for you, I don't know if you've seen any Luca films yet. I've seen a handful myself. Most recently, he directed Challengers, the tennis film, the sexy tennis film, with the fucking 9 Inch Nails score, which is great. It's a great film. Would recommend you watch that at some point.
Okay.
He did the Cannibal Timmy movie, Bones and All, 2022. Prior to that, I take it back. I know at least one movie that you've seen that he did. He did Call Me By Your Name, 2017, and then he did 2018's Suspiria remake as well. So you have at least seen one movie this man has made.
I've seen Call Me By Your Name, I think.
Maybe you have. I don't know. I don't think you saw it at the time, but you may have seen it in the intervening 7 years. So, which I think is a great film. But anyway, he's not afraid to get weird and gross and
Yeah.
Suspiria obviously is a prime example of that.
Yeah, that one
Bones and All
dirty.
I've only read about. I never actually saw it, but I think that it's pretty grimy as well.
I haven't seen that one.
It's a Timmy cannibal movie. They're like eating people and shit, man. It's
Timmy
pretty
cannibal.
crazy. Timmy's a cannibal. But yeah, he's making a new adaptation of American Psycho, again described as a new adaptation, not as a remake. of the 2002 original movie. I know years. Don't even worry about it. Yeah, I think that. I think the Christian Bale American Psycho movie is great. I think it's a great movie. I think that it's I think for 2002 I think it pushed a lot of boundaries, as the book did when it came out. The book is hugely fucked up and has very, very graphic written scenes, and the 2002 movie obviously kind of pulled back on, so that it could be theatrically released and be somewhat commercially successful.
And it was,
but
I don't know if it was commercially successful or not, but I know.
Well, I don't know if it was.
It's a cult classic movie, though.
It's at least a cult classic, so it's in the years since probably become successful. But I feel like the standards, in the 2020s, you can get away with a fuck ton of shit.
Yeah, for sure.
I have to imagine this is going to be a very depraved, graphic, miserable sort of.
I think he'll do a really good job of exploring, because for all that Suspiria was a lot, right?
It was a lot. That's true. Yeah.
But it explored a lot of themes and stuff. Remember it being very artistic, and I may not
absolutely
got all of it. But
yeah, I don't know if you're right, and I don't know if I liked it better than the original either. But I didn't. I definitely didn't. But
yeah, right.
But at the same time, it was a fucking interesting movie, and he was going for it.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of, I'm like, you know what? I don't know that American Psycho needs a new adaptation. I don't think it needs it. I think the 2002 movie did a pretty good job. However, if you were going to do it and you're going to pick Luca Guadagnino to do it,
I think he's probably capable.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I could be persuaded. The mere fact that he's being attached alone has me sort of persuaded into, you know what? I want to see what he does. I am curious to see that. So
there's a lot to be said about American Psycho too. Like there's a lot of it's almost like Fight Club too. They cover a lot of the similar themes and stuff. It's cool.
Right. There's a lot more meat to American Psycho than just crazy guy kills people.
Yeah.
It's very satirical. With the 80s culture and consumerism, there's a lot that it really can get into in terms of its social commentary that I think would be really interesting to see. Does it keep the same setting? Does it update it for modern times? There's definitely things that they could do to make it a very different type of adaptation than the one we got in 2002. But
what song do you think they explore? They're obviously not exploring fucking
they can't do
Phil
Huey
Collins
Lewis again.
Huey
or
Lewis,
Phil Collins.
Sure.
Phil
Collins and Huey Lewis in the News. They're not talking about those guys. Wonder who they're talking about.
I don't know. I don't know. But what they could do is bring back Jared Leto, because guess what? He still looks the same.
Fuck yeah, you could. You have a
Paul.
dog.
Try getting a reservation at Dorsia now, you fucking stupid fucking prick. I don't know. Asshole. I don't know what he says. I forgot. It's been too long since I've watched it, apparently.
Hey, Patrick,
I like to start
do you have a little dog, like a Shih Tzu or something like that? Yeah, good movie.
Classic Christian Bale performance. 2000 movie. I keep calling it 2002. I don't know why, but 2000. Anyway, good movie. We'll be very curious to see what Luca comes up with for a new adaptation. So looking forward to more details on that, and maybe Mr. Glen Powell joining the cast. I don't know. We'll have to see. Or it's Timmy, or it's going to be fucking Timmy.
Because that's
Timmy.
Holy fuck!
Just throws Timmy in his movies.
Nutty, little Timmy being a fucking.
Let me do it. Little Timmy's growing up before our eyes. So make it a real mature. Step up.
Scary.
American Psycho.
I tell you who could be American Psycho if it wasn't Glenn. It could be the cannibal.
Right, I'm listening.
He has the look.
I mean, he's definitely got the look.
He's got the look,
sure.
The whole vibe. He could do it.
I would be convinced the whole time.
This is what he's all about. This is him.
When he says, "Don't just stare at it, eat it," he means it. He fucking means it. Anyway, shall we wrap things up with taste. our? Absolutely. We're just keeping the whole thing going the whole way through. It's like Beetlejuice type jokes. He would say that sort of raunchy shit. And you're like, oh yeah, he's definitely He's definitely a bit of a sex pest, but it's like fine because he's kind of funny. So
can't even do the accent. The impression.
What do you mean?
All right, moving on.
Final headline. We're gonna use this section to talk about a movie that we're probably I can say for sure we're never gonna cover. And I think I probably will never watch because why would I? Joker Folie à Deux. Oh boy. Things have happened since we last recorded. Joker Folie à Deux came out.
Did it really?
In cinemas. Came out in cinemas. That's right. You could see it. It is in some cinemas still.
Wow.
You have to look hard. And it's turned out to be quite the saga for Joker. Joker 2, which I'll call it now.
Lay it on me. What has happened?
Because and I have to say, if it sounds like I'm gloating and are a little bit too excited about this news, yeah, I probably am, because I thought the first movie fucking sucked. I think the fact that it made over $1 billion or whatever it ended up making is a fucking travesty. I think Todd Phillips is a fucking hack loser director. I have many things. Look, Joaquin Phoenix was good in it. I don't think he should have won the Oscar. I think there were things about it like, okay, as an attempt to ape a Scorsese type of film, sure, I could see far worse things, but I just think that it was very devoid of real artistic merit. Is just my personal feelings on the first movie. Mm-hmm. We did an episode back on it because that was, in the days when we would watch everything, even the things we knew we were probably not going to like. And we watched it just to say, you know what, I watched it. And in fact, I did fucking hate this thing.
Was not a fan. I don't think I was a fan of that movie.
Yeah. So, okay, people like the first movie. Good. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. Obviously, I feel the way why? I feel, and I'm sorry if that upsets you.
What? We never heard a compelling argument for it.
But I don't know. I don't think I will be convinced, but it's fair enough to say the first movie was not made for me. I thought it was a bad idea from the inception, from all the parties involved, to just the actual, concept of it, to the execution of it. I didn't like any of it. Fine. They made a second one because obviously the first one did incredibly well. And I think that's a very rational business move to make if you're Warner Brothers. And it's a very rational move to bring back Todd Phillips, to bring back Joaquin Phoenix, throw lots of money at them. Hey, they want to get Lady Gaga involved. Obviously, she's done some really good stuff. She also did House of Gucci, lest we forget. With hey, I'm Jared Leto. I'm Italian now. So, throw money at her, bring her in. She's going to sing. It's all right, okay. But anyway, something went really, really wrong. And I don't know who to blame. Lady Gaga and Joaquin Phoenix were like, oh yeah, we just threw out the script and we wrote new things on napkins for the day of. And it's like, well, that seems like a bad idea.
Wow.
So I don't know what the fuck happened. I think there was a lot of no one telling each other no. And, Todd Phillips, I think, is mostly pissed off people in the interviews. Like, well, it's, I feel like he's done a lot of well, it's not really the Joker. It's not meant to be the Joker. It's like, well,
it's called the Joker, dude.
It's called Joker, dude. I'll tell you, man. Pretty sure he's the Joker. It got horrible reviews. And I think the first one, in spite of my personal feelings on it, got pretty good reviews. Not amazing, but pretty good reviews.
Well, it won an award. At least
it won awards. Acting. Yeah, I don't know if it was nominated for Best Picture or anything, but doing a quick fact check on this, the first movie had a 68% on Rotten Tomatoes, from 600 reviews, 6.7 out of 10 average rating, which I think is all pretty good. Not amazing, but pretty good. By comparison, Joker Folie à Deux got a 32% on Rotten Tomatoes with a 4.9 average rating. But I think the biggest story is the audience reception to it has been incredibly, incredibly damning. People fucking hate this fucking movie because, and I've read about it to be like, why do people hate this movie so much? What sets this movie so far apart from its predecessor that the fans of the first movie have turned on it? And the answer is, it is a movie that apparently was designed to have no audience, to piss everyone off in existence.
What? Why would you make a movie like that?
Because the whole movie seems to be a rejection of everything that made the first one successful, which is it's a jukebox musical in which neither of them are very good at what they're doing, in spite of actually, being good performers. I think obviously Lady Gaga is incredibly talented. I think Joaquin is capable of, being a good performer, as we saw in Walk the Line. But apparently that aspect of it is not very good and very incoherent, doesn't add anything to it. The ending of the movie is what I've heard is the most upsetting thing for people, in the sense that it just feels like a huge fuck you, like a big middle finger to everything that the first movie was. And also that like the whole trapping of the movie is basically a courtroom drama, which is them just relitigating what happened in the first movie. So there's no real like big, plot development so much as just rehashing things that already happened and then taking it a step further to basically be like, yeah, all those things that we just spent about, yeah, that was all stupid and dumb, and we're going to throw that out the window. And so I think that it's a movie that has really, really pissed people off. I've read the things, things about it, and I'm like, you know what? I think this movie probably is fucking ass, and it's probably garbage to watch.
It kind of piques your interest, though. If I hated the first movie,
I'm a little bit more interested by the fact that it's like
it's the opposite.
What the fuck did they do here? Like, what the hell were they cooking up in this? So anyway, all that is backstory to say this movie fucking tanked, and tanked is a generous word. This movie Titanicked.
Wow.
It is probably one of the biggest box office disasters. It's the biggest of this year, without a doubt. But probably in quite some time that we are going to see, certainly for the rest of this year, for a while to come. The movie, debuted with $38 million in its opening weekend, which you might say, all right, not horrible.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Not, I've certainly seen worse. But, to put things kind of in comparison, the first movie made $96 million in that same span. So you're talking about
triple.
Maybe, yeah, right. Yeah, this has made a third of what it, the first movie did in that same time frame. You're also talking about a total budget of about $200 million because they spent half of that on the talent alone for some fucking reason. Whereas the first movie had like a $55 to $70 million budget, which I think is a completely reasonable thing for a rated R, kind of crime movie, villain sort of thing. And things just did not get better for it. It dropped a seismic 81% in its second weekend.
From 30 million to 80%?
From $38 million, it dropped 81% in its second weekend.
Fuck.
Got beat by the other clown movie, Terrifier 3. It is the biggest drop for, I think, a comic book movie ever. It was a bigger drop than even something like The Marvels, which had a 78% drop, which was a huge, staggering decline. And I think, again, just one of the things that like maybe makes you like,
fuck, that's wild.
Think about like how poorly it did, even in its first weekend alone, is it was. Let me just name some movies that did better in their first weekend than Joker Folie did. Okay, let me throw some examples at you. Madam Web. Morbius.
Oh no.
The Marvels, 3 movies that did better and will have made more money probably overall.
The 30 million to 80%, 80% of 30. What is that? I don't know what that's going to be. Don't math
Not
me.
a lot. I can probably actually find the actual data for it. But
be like $12 million bucks, something like that.
No, let's try 7. Let's try $7 million on for size. Dropped to number 4. It finished behind The Wild Robot, and it finished behind Beetlejuice in its 6th fucking week. Beetlejuice beat it.
Yikes.
Which is just absolutely batshit. So
Big
again,
oof.
I understand my tone may be off-putting to some, but I cannot help but find joy in the fact that Warner Brothers is set to lose $150 to $200 million.
Maybe they'll fucking stop
because of this bomb. And so maybe they will take the lesson of stop doing dumb shit like this. Let James Gunn cook, you know? And it's interesting, Todd Phillips is like, I didn't get anything from James Gunn. And James Gunn has been radio fucking silent, and he's very active on social media. And it's probably because James Gunn watched this piece of shit and was like, you're right, I had nothing to do with that. I had nothing to do with it. Don't even mention my get your fucking name out of my get my name out of your fucking mouth. So
I'm done.
Yeah, I mean, so I will say it did probably make a little bit more money than a Morbius or a Madam Web did overall in terms of worldwide gross. I am speaking kind of strictly in terms of domestic opening and stuff like that, because it made like a little bit overseas. But its worldwide total as of recording this, which is to say 20 days into release, is $192 million worldwide. And for comparison's sake, just to fully get into this, and I understand this is not a box office breakdown, even though it's kind of turned into one. The first one in total worldwide made $1 billion and $78 million. So you're talking about a drop of more than $800 million. Box office run is not complete, but you can see the trends.
Like, you would think after $1 billion, you'd think that it would have significantly more than 30 million on opening weekend. You know what I mean?
I mean, and it was pacing for a lot higher. Even 5 weeks out, it was pacing for 100. Some projections had it even over 100, and then as it got closer, it's like 70-ish, 50, 60, and then
that just doesn't jive.
Under 40, under 40, and just landed with a thud. And I think it's certainly easy enough to explain the fact that like once people saw it, they were like probably telling people, no, absolutely
avoid it.
And I think it's cinema score, which is usually a pretty good metric. It's like the lowest comic book cinema score of all time, like worse than Fan4 Stick and shit like that. Because again, it just feels like a movie that's just like, fuck you. Like that is its main sort of thing that it's doing, and it's like, I mean, I guess it's a bold strategy. I don't know what they were thinking, but I don't know.
Is it like the movie was made by the Joker? Like
it's man, it's so edgy, dude. It's like so cool. I don't know.
Can't explain it.
But you hate to see it. Yeah,
I don't know if I hate it.
Anyway, just a little cherry on top here. Deadpool and Wolverine has become the 12th biggest film in domestic box office history. Also, the other, R-rated comic book movie that opened this year has passed Barbie on the domestic charts.
Oh, wow.
Bringing its North American total to $636.3 million doll hairs. And it's sitting at about $1.335 billion globally. So,
gee whiz.
Who won this year, Marvel or DC?
Yeah, it's pretty clear.
You tell me. All right. Would you like to move on to some trailers?
Let's talk about these trailers.
You've been champing at the bit to talk about this next trailer from the world of John Wick, Ballerina. We have an official trailer. The horror, the real horror here is obviously the butchery of a title. And this might be the worst version of these yet. I think
it's pretty bad.
Ballerina, a John Wick story, a John Wick saga. I don't know. Still probably from the world of John Wick, Ballerina. Did that actually make it into the logo treatment too? Oh, it did. Oh, awful. Hideous. Anyway.
It would have been definitely better to just call it the Ballerina.
Just call it Ballerina. It's like Keanu Reeves is in the fucking trailer. We know Ian McShane's in the trailer. Lance Reddick is in the trailer.
Why did I call him Mr. Black? I called him Mr. Black earlier. I'm not quite sure why I called him Mr. Black. Anyways.
It's very apparent
Ian McShane,
which fucking
Mr.
world
Black.
this is set in. Mr. Black. Is that his American Gods character?
No, I don't know. I don't think
He's just
so.
making shit up.
His hair is black.
All right. Well,
I think
it's
he
a
played
real
Blackbeard or something like that in a Pirates movie one time.
It's a Johnny V situation, perhaps. So anyway, the point being, obviously this is in the fucking world of John Wick. You don't need the fucking title to tell me that. Just watch the goddamn trailer and it's immediately apparent. But It has to have a lady kicking ass, and as you were saying, perhaps a little bit earlier,
not just
maybe
any
that ruffles
lady
some
either.
feathers.
Okay,
not just any lady, but it doesn't. If it ruffles your feathers, it ruffles your feathers in maybe a good, tantalizing sort of way.
What I will say is, I like the bits where she's not doing gunplay like John Wick.
Okay, yeah, she's doing like a little bit more physical, hand to hand.
Yeah, I like the ballerina with knives.
With knives or a big fire hydrant thing.
Yeah, that was kind of neat. That was kind of neat. Torch versus or blow, like fucking flamethrower versus water. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's a new thing.
She's
I wouldn't have thought
mastering
of
the
that.
elements. You know, John Wick could never. John Wick would just use a gun. He would try to shoot at the fire. He'd probably try to blow up the flamethrower so that it would just explode and kill whoever's using it.
Are you the Baba Yaga?
Baba Yaga.
Yeah, this looks totally fine. It doesn't bother me like it bothered the internet. I think it's cool. It's almost like, could it be better than Black Widow? Yeah, it could be. Could be better than Black Widow. Mm-hmm. Could it be the same as Black Widow? Yeah, but I almost think it's almost more entertaining than Black Widow because it is John Wick-ish. And that's just, it's a pretty cool universe when it's done right, you know?
Yeah. And I think that, you know, is John Wick probably in the one scene that we saw in this trailer? Yeah, probably.
I mean, I'd almost prefer, the more you can distance yourself from that while existing in the same property, I think that's cool, right? It's almost like a Rogue One kind of situation.
Right. I think that this at least does seem to have the same type of tone, feel, and kind of theatrical nature that, like, when I think about a TV show, I guess I'm just thinking about that Continental thing where it just feels like, this is just kind of like, this is barely John Wick, you know?
Yeah.
This feels proper John Wick, even if it is, you know, very much focused on a different character and kind of a different, you know, side of things. The world feels right. You know, she's part of this organization that we saw a bit of, particularly in the third John Wick. So it all just kind of feels right. And like, yeah, like the action is a little bit different. Like maybe it's a little less gun heavy. You know, the way that she operates as an assassin is different than a John Wick operates, which totally makes sense, you know, for their physicalities and everything. So I think it looks cool. I've heard somewhat iffy things about the production of this. I think that there were a lot of reshoots with it. But I think a lot of the reshoots were basically Chad Stahelski, the John Wick guy, basically being like, I'm going to make this better. So maybe, you know, because they got a big delay. It was supposed to come out this year, and then they bumped it basically a whole year. So it's now set for June of next year. I don't think I said that. June 6th of 2025. So it's still a pretty good chunk of time away. But I think that, you know, get it right. You know, is maybe the right thing to do with it. You know, they didn't get the title right, but maybe they can get the movie right. and I will say, and I'm sure if you haven't said as much already, Ana de Armas is a great fucking lead, and she showed it in like the 5 minutes that she was in Bond.
That's right.
Like she can do this type of role and fucking own the shit out of it. You know what I mean? So so I'm really excited to see her in a lead role here. I think she's a great fit, and I think you know, something like this trailer, I'm like, oh, a little Elton John, because, you know, Ballerina. Oh, okay, all right. You know,
find me a song with Ballerina in the lyrics, please.
They asked ChatGPT. It's like, here you go. Okay. But
sometimes
you know,
I think that's probably what they do.
It's a little on the nose, perhaps, but you know, at the same time, there's enough. Again, the visuals of this, the feel and the vibe of it, the Ana de Armas of it, and the Ian McShane, aka Mr. Black, and you know, Lance Reddick and Keanu Reeves of it. It all still feels very John Wicky in a way where I'm just like, I'm still okay with more John Wick. You just have to give me a reason to be interested. And I think there's enough intrigue here that I'm like, you know what, this could be fun. Is it going to be John Wick, you know, 4, 3, 2, or 1 levels? I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. It's hard to say right now.
Could be, though.
But
you notice how you just didn't name John Wick 1?
No,
notice how you
'cause they
notice
fucking
John Wick
maintain it.
1, 2, 3, 4? Could it be one of those? Well, yeah, you could probably slot it in anywhere in there. It's entertaining shit. It's good.
Exactly. So,
But that's what, there's a level of detail in the John Wick movies that I don't think you can have that on like a procedural basis. You can't have that for 14 episodes. You know what I'm saying? It just takes too
really
much.
I agree. And part of the appeal is it's like the Raid,
mind numbing for 2 hours.
They're so dense, with just the type of shit that there's really not enough story to pull it out over 8 episodes or 10 episodes. And I don't know that the story, even if you did try to do that, is interesting enough to sustain that. That's not really
production-wise, I think
appeal comes from.
production-wise, practically, it's difficult to do 14 hours of a thing when it takes, 2 years or a year or whatever, however long they spend making John Wick. I mean, and that's a 2-hour movie. You can't practically do that for 14 hours or, if there's 14 episodes or whatever. You know what I mean? Just can't do it.
No, and I think the appeal of the John Wick movies, and perhaps this one too, is a lot of great action sequences. And the thing that sets it apart from other great action movies is it has this cool lore to it. But the lore is not the selling point to me. It is something that separates it from others. But I don't need just lore, and so if the main appeal is all these action sequences, you're going to have fucking nonstop action for 45 minutes and then times 8, not happening. You know what I mean? No way. That's not what a TV show is going to be. It's not what it's going to try to be. And so it's kind of less interesting as a result of that. So I know we're kind of going back to the earlier conversation, but now we have the fuller context for, obviously including Ballerina here, since you wanted to talk about it earlier. So we're just mixing and matching all around. But anyway, June 6th of 2025. I think we'll check this out. This feels like a movie that we could check out, and maybe it's not great, but hey,
maybe it's
I'm
pretty
willing
cool.
to give it a chance. So anyway, let's move on. March 7th next year, 2025. We will be getting a new Vision of Fear from director Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan in the form of a movie called
fuck in this movie.
Yeah, of course. A movie called Sinners. We got an official trailer for it. Let me just kick it over to you. You saw this trailer, and I'm curious to see what you think about Sinners.
Yeah, this movie looks super cool. I'm all about this.
Okay.
Probably 130% about it. It's got this weird voodoo vibe thing going on with people dancing and playing music in the South, it looks like, and it just looks kind of weird, and Michael B. Jordan looks like he's weighing 250, just jacked,
Sure.
And he's shooting a Tommy gun, which is cool.
Right.
And it's got Ryan Coogler directing it, and there was one lady in there that I recognized her when she was when they were all in the barn. I can't remember who she is. I don't know her name, but I know who she is, and she's a good actress.
There's several women in here. There's Haley Steinfeld, who I don't know if that's who you're referring to.
No, I didn't see her, but she's pretty awesome.
Wunmi Masaku, who's in Loki, B-15 in Loki, was in here. You might have recognized her.
That's who I'm thinking of. Yeah, that's who I'm thinking of.
Roy Lindo's here. It's a good cast.
Don't know what it's about. Looks kind of freaky, but it looks pretty cool, and I think I'm all about it.
Yeah, I think what excites me the most about this is Ryan Coogler is also writing this.
Oh boy!
And we have not really seen a non-adaptation fictional, fantastical type of thing from Ryan Coogler. I guess really ever. Has
he written anything?
He has written stuff. He wrote, or at least co-wrote, the Black Panther movies, which again I think are adaptations. Okay. So it's sort of
yeah.
It has obviously there's a lot of fantastical elements to those, but I think you're somewhat working from source material. Creed he co-wrote as well, and it's great, but it's also obviously a bit more grounded. This is Ryan Coogler reaching back, maybe for something that's totally different than anything that we've seen from him. It's being listed as a horror film. There's a sort of angle to it, which I think is playing with traditional horror types of things from what we have heard about this movie.
Something looks kind of crazy.
Something's going on. It's clearly not just normal things happening in a normal world. Like it's something's going on. So I'm really excited to see Ryan Coogler play in kind of his own created sandbox, where he's doing like a horror movie, where he's doing like maybe more of a genre type thing, and that feels like a thing that he hasn't really done as much. Unrestrained. Obviously, I'm not saying like Black Panther or Wakanda Forever, like straight adaptations of Black Panther comics, but he's clearly utilizing the comics as
things before. Sure, absolutely.
Here he's doing his own thing, which is really, really cool. Of course, Michael B. Jordan is great. Really excited to see him here. Those two reteaming is just kind of a match made in heaven sort of thing.
And he's got he's got like a twin brother thing going on too, right?
He's got a twin, yeah. Got Michael B. Jordan in dual roles. That's true. Yeah. So, and I think just visually it looks very good. The period nature of it looks really interesting. The way it's shot, all of it just feels like this is going to be a compelling horror film from Ryan Coogler, who I think is just an awesome filmmaker, and he's the type of director that he makes a movie, I show up for it. So
yeah, true.
So I think come March 7th of 2025,
we know where we will be.
I think we'll be seeing Sinners in theaters. It is getting an IMAX release. I think it was shot with IMAX cameras. I don't know if I'll necessarily see it in IMAX, but throwing it out there as an option for those who are interested in such things. But I'm looking forward to it. And if anyone, I think I stopped justifying things because this is a horror movie. In fact, all of the other remaining trailers, I don't have to stretch very far to say that they fit our on theme thing of horror-y things, because in fact, all of these are definitely very much horror type branded things. So moving on to our next trailer. This is our only TV related trailer. We got an official teaser for season 2 of The Last of Us, which is coming in 2025, so it will not be debuting before the end of this year. But we got a pretty good look at it. We got, a good couple minutes of footage showing us, things going on. Everyone's kind of back. Pedro Pascal's here. Bella Ramsey's back. Gabriel Luna's back. Who else? Anyone that might have survived season 1 is back. But we got lots of new people too. We got Caitlin Dever here. We've got others. Jeffrey Wright we see for a second there.
Looks
Catherine
like he's a bit
O'Hara,
of an asshole, I think.
Catherine O'Hara, who's in Beetlejuice, huh? Come on. What do you think? Are you excited for season 2 of The Last of Us?
I am excited for season 2. I told I watched the trailer tonight, and I go back in there, check on Baby and everything else, and I said I just watched the trailer for season 2 of The Last of Us. And Sarah says, "Oh, we should rewatch the first season." Like, all right, yeah, totally do it.
Okay, that's
exactly.
Choice.
Color, yeah. So there might be a rewatch of season 1 for me coming down the pipeline. When are we supposed to be getting this season 2? Do we know?
Just 2025 is the vaguest of it looks pretty far along.
It does.
The first season premiered in January of 23, so I would guess it's probably
right
earlier parts of 2025, like January to March is maybe optimistic of me, but I feel like that's, I don't know, doable. Production wrapped in August of this year, so yeah, for a TV show, I think half a year or so seems doable, I think. Obviously it's an effects heavy show. Post-production certainly has some work to do. If they have any bloaters or anything like that, they got to get, a little bit more wild with it. But
bloaters.
I don't know. Hopefully relatively early on in 2025. That would be my hope. I haven't played part 2, the video game.
So you're blind?
I am. I'm probably going to play it before this. So I feel like it's going to be one of those classic things. Like once we have a full release date, I'm like, all right, now I need to
game
lock in
on
and do it. Because I really want to experience it, because what I've heard is, well, it's a very polarizing game for a few different reasons, but that's not what we're here to talk about. That can be talked about on a Last of Us season 2 episode sometime next year. But I'm curious to experience the story because of its structure, and I think that there's a chance that they're changing the storytelling structure for season 2 as compared to the video game in a way that I think the first season of The Last of Us hewed pretty closely to the storytelling of the first game, obviously with making narrative changes here and there. Like the Bill and Frank episode was very different and incredible. But I'm excited for this. I'm excited in the sense that I think it's going to be fucking incredible, but it's like sort of the thing that I was talking about with Baby Reindeer. It's like, it's not going to be a pleasant watch either. You know what I mean?
It's probably going to be very heavy. I thought the first one was going to be... First one was heavy. First one got super fucking heavy.
Yeah. You know, it had moments where it was a little bit more, you know...
It didn't end where I thought it was going to end, because I played the first game, I just never beat it.
Right. Yeah.
And then obviously I never played the second game. But it didn't end where I thought it was going to end. And I'm thankful for that, because it was going to be, if it ended where I thought it was, I wasn't looking forward to the end of the thing coming. So anyways, I'm very excited about this. This was an absolutely fucking incredible show.
Yeah. I mean, fucking Craig Mazin, you know, Chernobyl guy, man. He knows what he's doing, man. So really, really looking forward to it. And obviously Neil Druckmann, who is a writer and director of the games as well. Very involved in the TV
talented
show, so,
individuals.
for sure. All right, 2 more trailers. Next one up, January 17th, Wolfman. This is directed by Leigh Whannell, who did the most recent version of The Invisible Man. You know, the Invisible Man, but what if modern day and maybe technology's involved, sort of thing. Which
did we talk about that? We did.
We did an episode on it. I really liked it. I thought it was a very good kind of send up of that. You know, he seems to be doing something here, which is, you know, not necessarily in the same vein like What If Wolfman but technology, but in a What If Wolfman but my version of it kind of thing, you know, and set it in, you know, maybe more like one single kind of location type of thing. I don't know. It's not really what you necessarily expect, I think, from like a movie called Wolfman in terms of what this trailer showed off.
It is a modern Wolfman.
But it is a modern Wolfman. I guess that's you're not wrong. I don't know. What do you think? Are you interested?
Fuck yeah, I'm on board with this. I thought this looked great. Real excited about it. I think I like the classic monsters. I really like vampires.
Sure.
I like the like American Werewolf in London. Mm-hmm. And you know, the Teenage Werewolf or whatever, you know. Mm-hmm. I like those. I like the idea of werewolves, but I haven't really gotten a real good werewolf movie I can stand behind. There's plenty of good vampire movies, but werewolves are hard. You know, I feel like the American Werewolf series, I think they really pushed the envelope for like prosthetics and like special effects and stuff. Mm-hmm. And part of the appeal for the werewolf is the body horror, right? Like the transformation between,
right. Yeah.
You know, which I think today, I think we should be able to nail that pretty good, as long as a lot of time and effort's put into it and you get the right people involved. But more so in this, it seems to be exploring the actual transformation, which I guess is I guess it's the same thing that all of them do, but not just from the perspective of the person watching it happen, but from the perspective of the person turning into the wolf, which is pretty crazy. It looks like a pretty harrowing movie. It looks pretty scary. I'm pretty excited about this one. I think this is going to be new and fresh, just like The Invisible Man was. Invisible Man was new and fresh too, and I thought that was an excellent like take on it. So yeah, I'm very excited about this.
All right, yeah, I'm intrigued. I don't know if I'm 100% sold, but I really like what Leigh Whannell has done. I mean, you know, going back to his original horror roots, he did I think I guess he wrote Saw. He didn't actually direct it. It was James Wan. But he was heavily
Saw,
involved he was involved with the early Saw movies, the early Insidious movies. But I feel like since he has come onto the directing scene, Upgrade he did in 2018, which was really,
I fell asleep in that movie.
Not really horror-y, but like a great low budget sort of sci-fi type thing. And then The Invisible Man was, like a really interesting merger of science fiction.
It was very cool. That was a very fresh take.
On a micro budget, Wolfman seems to be kind of, again, just his take on it, which is really interesting to see. Is not just, I saw that, I forget when it came out, but the Benicio, Anthony Hopkins one felt like a way more traditional, like Universal Monsters style Wolfman movie.
Yeah, it's like old school silver bullet shit.
And I don't, yeah, right, exactly. And like, honestly, I don't remember disliking that movie. I think I've seen it all at once when it came out. This looks completely fucking different than that, like completely outside of the box of what Wolfman, as a movie, I think traditionally you might think of it as. So I'm curious to see what he does. I really am curious to see what he does. And January, usually a dead season for movies, so maybe it'll be nice to have a little horror flick, lighten up the screens in January in the early parts of 2025. So we'll see. We'll see what Wolfman turns out to be. But only a few weeks before that, Christmas Day, we will enjoy. Maybe we will succumb to the darkness in Nosferatu.
Dude.
This feels like a movie where I should let you lead the charge in terms of how you're feeling. So we got a lot more footage here. We obviously enjoyed the teaser. Very stylish. It's fucking Robert Eggers and all that jazz. But now that we've gotten more of this movie revealed to us, are you even more hyped if such a thing is even possible? Are you a little deflated? Like, where are you at on this?
Well, it seems to me, and I think we talked about this before, but I can't quite remember.
We did. There was a teaser that came out. We probably talked about it a few months ago now, but maybe it was last episode.
This very much seems to be a retelling of Dracula titled Nosferatu. Is that right? You get those vibes?
So
you get the crazy guy prophesizing the return of Dracula.
Yes. So whenever we did talk about this, whenever that was, I do think effectively the original Nosferatu, the 1922 movie is basically a loose, unofficial adaptation of the Bram Stoker novel Dracula.
Gotcha.
So it is Dracula without literally being Dracula, for legal reasons and such. So yes, you are absolutely correct. It is very much Dracula, but not 100%. Just few tweaks here and there, so as to not I didn't copy your homework, that sort of thing. And this is obviously a remake of the original Nosferatu 100 plus years later, in terms of when Robert Eggers is taking on this fucking challenge of remaking a fucking classic movie. So yes, I think obviously the Dracula vibes that were very apparent in the original Nosferatu are obviously still on display here because of the nature of it being a remake. So anyway,
I think that visually, I think this movie is going to be stunning. I think it's going to be a jaw on the floor kind of movie.
Seems like it has that potential.
I think it's going to be shocking. I think some of it's probably going to be hard to watch.
Mm-hmm.
My train of thought's been derailed.
Well, I think that if nothing else, I mean, I think
Edgar's is going to deliver. I think that's what we're going to have.
Of course, yes, I agree with that. I think the fact is we got a whole bunch of new footage in this trailer, and I feel like this is the type of movie where we have not seen anything yet. I feel like there is still a lot more that has been left unseen. I mean, even really the Count Orlok, Bill Skarsgård, we really still only seen hints here and there of kind of, what he looks like, what his involvement is. And so like, that's really interesting is like, this is a movie that I didn't need to see a new trailer for to be sold on, obviously. And I'm glad that even though I feel like I did see a lot of new stuff, like I still feel like I'm going to walk into this movie without a real good idea.
Like, what the fuck is going on?
I'm walking into, you know, like I think there's still a lot of surprises and crazy shit that we're going to see in this movie. So I'm really, really excited. I might have missed him in this. Like Anna pointed out, it's like Aaron Taylor Johnson's in this movie. It's like, is he? I didn't see him in this fucking trailer. You know,
is he? I didn't know that either.
I saw Nicholas Hoult, Lily Rose Depp, Willem Dafoe, obviously.
Nicholas Hoult did a good job of just looking absolutely fucking terrified in every scene.
Nicholas Hoult in period movies, like where he's just like, I don't know. It just feels like it's all he does. Like he it's not all he does, obviously, but he does it a lot and he does it well. So,
and then you have who's the main actress?
That's Lily Rose Depp.
Lily Rose Depp does a very good job of just being like deranged. Like she just seems like fucking off her rocker, deranged.
For sure. Like, nothing's. Yeah,
it's just like she's being tormented by something. But she doesn't know she's being tormented by it. She's being manipulated by the fucking darkness, which is this movie's just oof. It's gonna be a lot, dude. It's gonna be a lot I always talk about it on Jesus' birthday. There could be nothing more sacrilege than releasing this movie on Christmas. I feel like a part of me, I don't think I could watch this movie on Christmas. I think I would feel a certain particular kind of way watching it. Like little me watching The Exorcist under the covers as a little boy. I would feel that way. I'd feel like I'd be like stricken dead. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's I mean, how likely is it that you'd be seeing this on Christmas Day anyway? Probably.
Sorry, baby B. I know this is your second Christmas. I'm going to watch Nosferatu.
So it seems like, fortunately for you, you kind of have a built-in excuse to not have to like be tempted by the darkness.
Yeah, right.
To succumb to the darkness. But maybe 26th, the 27th, the 28th of December. Maybe you could pull yourself away.
That's true. I will be.
And find yourself
I'm off that week.
In a cinema watching Nosferatu. I am fucking stoked for this.
I can't.
Probably most anticipated rest of this year. I don't know what else is really, I think November we've got some interesting movies. Like there's a Moana 2, there's a Gladiator 2. Like, yeah, I'll probably go see in theaters and stuff like that.
Yeah, sure.
In terms of what is really speaking to me, in terms of like, oh yeah, I need to see this. I think the last time I was this hyped for a movie was another Eggers movie. Yeah.
Is he becoming one of my favorite directors? He could be. I don't know.
Could be. Might already be. I don't know.
Might already be.
Tell me.
I really don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. But the last time I really feel like he's making the movies that well, like if I was a filmmaker, I feel like I'd want to make a Dracula movie. I feel like I'd want a movie about fucking Vikings. I'd want to make a movie about that. You know?
Yeah.
Like he's just I don't know, he's making the movies of my soul, you know? It's pretty cool. Anyways, like the stuff he does. The one I need to rewatch, though, is The Vivitch. I need to rewatch that one.
The Vivitch. Yeah, and for shame, I still haven't seen The Lighthouse, so.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. That's a wild ride.
So, and I've only seen The Northman once, because that was also a wild ride.
It's a lot.
A ride that cannot be experienced.
Like, I feel like I need to...
all that often.
Sarah's dad never watched the Northman. I feel like I could watch it with him.
I think it's been a couple of years now. I think I could go back, but like, in the moment, there's just like, you get out of the theater, I'm like, that's not the movie where I'm like, I'm coming back tomorrow to see it again. You know what I mean? It's not that. None of those movies I think are really built that way.
I watched that with Steven, the Northman. We got out of the theaters like, dude, you want to fight in the parking lot? Come to blows.
It's not healthy. You can't do that. You can't do that every day.
It's like want to scream watching the movie.
Oh man! Well, that's all the trailers. Wouldn't you believe it? Wouldn't you believe it?
Made it through it.
We made it through it. Isn't that funny? I just looked at the script and realized I went out of order for the last trailers, but it's because I knew I wanted to save Nosferatu for last. I think the Wolfman trailer just came out a few days ago, which I usually try to like stack it in order of things in terms of how recent they are.
But too. You're just doing a good job of hosting.
Nosferatu,
It's going to be a fucking movie, dude. It's going to be a movie.
It's going to be a movie, It's going to have some sort of impact, So I'm really, really, really looking forward to it.
I feel like it's been a while. I'm not going to lie. I feel like it's been a minute since I've been reeled in. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Just completely enthralled in a movie. I don't know if it's because of what we've been having to watch.
Probably Dune, but other than Dune, maybe.
Yeah, how long was Dune? Dune feels like it was a long time ago.
That was like, what, March this year, I think?
Oh, fuck, it feels like forever ago. Yeah, Dune was definitely
But I mean, at the same time, it is October, so it has been a while, right?
Yeah, you don't get... Maybe if you get two a year, if you get two of those a year, I feel like you're doing pretty good.
March and December, like that's not too bad. I mean, don't get me wrong, Deadpool was great.
Yeah, but that's not the same.
was pretty good, but it's not the same level of I'm so fucking in for this. Just so
in it. So, anyways,
I kind of agree. Yeah. So, all right. Well, are you ready to dive into the world of Beetlejuice?
Yeah, let's do it, dude.
So Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice. I don't know.
Beetlejuice.
Stop.
We'll
get zapped into the...
Hey, I'm playing in theaters and on VOD now. Written by Alfred Goff, Miles Miller. Directed by Tim Burton.
It's a little Rick and Morty. It might have been the same mode. Not voiced by Justin Roiland, though. Just to be clear.
Yeah.
I'll start that over. It's in theaters probably still. I think if it may not be in a huge screen, but it's probably still in the theater. But it is, as we obviously talked about at the top of the episode, available on video on demand. I don't know if it's at the point where you can buy it outright or if it's the rental only. You could probably speak to that. I saw it in the theater, I guess I'll say, just right off the bat. I saw it like over a month ago, like when it came out. So hopefully you can remember well enough. You watched it.
Yeah, this is almost like a reversal.
I think you did watch it at home. It's a reversal of Alien, basically, sort of. I think we both saw that in theaters, but that one was... You were going back a ways because I was late to the party. So, yes, we have reversed things a little bit. But it was written by Alfred Goff and Miles Miller, directed by Tim Burton. It stars Michael Keaton, Winona Ryder, Catherine O'Hara, Justin Theroux, Arthur Conti, Monica Bellucci, with Jenna Ortega and Mr. Not Nosferatu himself, but in Nosferatu himself, Willem Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe. After
a family tragedy, 3 generations of the Dietz family return home to Winter River. Oh, yeah, family tragedy. The pedophile is dead, just in case anyone was wondering. Big surprise.
It's a clever way to write them out.
We will talk about that in spoilers, I think, or whenever. Who cares? The Dietz family returns home to Winter River, where the specter Beetlejuice, he has returned. He's back. Beetlejuice is back. What's he up to? I don't know. Go watch the movie. So before we get into... let's do a box office breakdown first. I'm going to switch the order of the things on the script again. So, a box office breakdown for Beetlejuice, if you please.
Box office breakdown. Wah, 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 wah. It was a reversal of the roles. You usually do the box office breakdown, and I do the horns.
That's good.
I was trying to think
of a way that I could get Beetlejuice in there, do the little Beetlejuice voice in there, and I was struggling. So I think it actually, it was just more Rick and Morty shit. No, still got nothing. But I'll think about it.
Come up last minute. He'd probably do some sort of like, when you talk about the I want to break it down. I don't know. I'm coming up with nothing.
Box office breakdown.
Anyway, so it's that was good. All that time wasted on nothing. Anyway, Beetlejuice, in its domestic weekend debut did very, very well. Very, very well indeed. $111 million in its first weekend.
Beetlejuice brought it, dude.
which is, I don't know if you know this, but a lot more than Joker Folie 2. That's right. I said it. I came out and said it. Although these are both WB movies, so at the end of the day, Beetlejuice's profits, maybe that'll be enough to cover the bombing of Joker.
That's true.
I'm not entirely sure, but
I think they did that on purpose. I think they released 2 movies like that on purpose.
I mean, it's a conspiracy theory that you could levy, but I think that probably their stated intent in making these movies was for them to both be profitable. If I had to guess,
I guess you're right. Yeah, that's kind of the point, isn't it?
And here's a fun fact: in its first day, it made $42 million, which, for those of you keeping score at home, was more than the entire weekend, the first weekend of Joker Folie 2. So yeah, it's the second biggest opening weekend of September behind the first It movie. Second biggest opening for Tim Burton in his career behind Alice in Wonderland.
Ooh.
And the third biggest opening of the year behind Deadpool and Wolverine and Inside Out 2.
For this year.
And
right?
For this year, yes, correct, for 2024. It's had pretty solid legs, and now we're 47 days into its run, 6 weeks into its run. It's made $284 million domestically. Worldwide total is about $434 million. Working on a budget, a reported budget of $100 million. So all in all, going to be a profitable venture for Warner Brothers on this one. Maybe it's still actually not quite enough to make up for the Joker blow, but certainly softens it a little bit. Big success. Obviously, 2024 from a 1988 movie, this is several decades removed from the original Beetlejuice. But clearly, that time has created a lot of affinity for that original movie, and they did, they brought back all of the cast members that felt appropriate to bring back for a sequel. So, so clearly there was a market and an audience for it, so that's how we ended up where we ended up with the box office receipts for Beetlejuice. Now, before we really dive into Beetlejuice itself, I want to talk about Beetlejuice, the first one. We talked about doing a bonus episode for it, yet of course, that didn't happen.
Alas,
obviously,
here we are.
You've seen it, I'm sure, plenty of times in your life. Did you rewatch it at all before you watched Beetlejuice?
I did.
Beetlejuice, or
it was
okay.
actually
I did too. Yeah.
We have a thing at my house, although it has not it hasn't happened this year, not out of neglectfulness for the season, but out of we'll get into the catching up because of we just have not had electricity and everything. But we have not been watching as many Halloween movies as we normally would.
Sure.
But I kicked off the season with Beetlejuice. It was my
Nice.
October 1st movie.
Very good.
And it had been a long time since I watched it, so I was really excited to rewatch it because I remember enjoying it. It was grew up with Beetlejuice. You know what I mean? Beetlejuice was always like it's like a staple. It's a classic. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. I forgot how good the score was, though. It's probably the biggest thing that, I never really noticed.
Classic Danny Elfman, Tim Burton combo,
it's good.
Those two, obviously were very productive together, produced a lot of iconic works. So, I agree. And I asked this because obviously I think this is probably the most important question for kind of a legacy sequel in the vein of Beetlejuice is, well, do you like the first one in the first place? And how much do you like it? Because that really, I think, is going to impact, I think, your enjoyment of the sequel. And this is not totally jumping ahead. I still want to talk about the first one a little bit. But it's really, I think, interesting to have the frame of reference of the first one because I think it's a high bar to clear. It's you know what
wildly,
I mean? I think
wildly fucking creative.
It's so creative. The cast all around is great. Obviously one big difference, I think, from Beetlejuice to the original Beetlejuice is like the main characters of Beetlejuice are Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis, and so that shifts a little bit for the sequel by virtue of, what the story is. But I think those two are really great together,
There's a lot of chemistry and just a lot of zaniness, but there's a really, really nail, I guess the Midwestern innocence, like like that, like just like they exist within their own little vacuum. Like these two people exist in their vacuum, and then they're put further in their vacuum because now they're dead and they can't leave their house. Right.
Yeah. So they're and then in come the Dietz family.
Yeah.
Who are a very eccentric bunch. To say the least. And so the whole movie is just about these two haunting these, trying to haunt these people desperately to get them out of this fucking house. These fucking weirdos, get out of my fucking house. And it's just such a fun concept for a movie, and it's done so well. And a lot of it obviously is like just sort of this, that's kind of the central conceit of it. But then the ways that it kind of, dips into these weird things, the doors go out and then there's the fucking sandworms and shit. Or it's, obviously the Beetlejuice stuff with the miniatures, or it's actually being in, I guess, the underworld or wherever, where, it's this bureaucratic sort of, hellscape sort of thing, take a number sort of, like, it's so wildly creative, and it's just,
you remember that game? That game that came out, it was one of those, Lucas Arts games with the skeleton. What is it?
It's not a Beetlejuice game then.
It's not a Beetlejuice game, no, but it's
that got the vibes.
Yeah, like they nail like he's an investigator, I think is what it is. Lucas Arts, it's a classic. It's so good. I don't know why I can't remember it. Lucas Arts skeleton.
Grim Fandango?
Yes, Grim fucking Dango. Okay. Yes, you ever play that game?
Yeah. Yes.
Classic. And it's like almost the same. It's like like you leave one world and you go to another, and it's like the same shit. Like
Yeah. No. Right. Yeah. Makes sense.
It's cool. I like it. I like those vibes.
Anyway, point being,
I don't think you have that game without Beetlejuice.
Right.
It's
just you said it. You said it already. It's wildly creative, and that's the joy of the first Beetlejuice, is just how fucking bonkers it gets. Classic scenes, obviously. The banana boat song sequence with the the synchronized dancing, I guess puppetry dancing sort of thing, is incredible. Just the character designs, the characters themselves are weird and quirky and unique. Like Lydia is interesting, and you've got the fucking designer guy.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like just there's something just so special about that first one that feels.
They slowly take over the house, and like the house totally transforms into this weird fucking like it's a whole arts thing.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
It's just crazy. And then you have like the super goth daughter who doesn't want to do anything with her parents, which is pretty funny. All of it's so good. I also like how it's not very long. It's a very short movie. I feel like
it's very short, right? It's like a lean 90 minutes, man. Like that's unheard of these days.
It's good. It's good. It's quick. It's tight. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It's a fun ride. It really kicks off the season. I think it's a mainstay Halloween movie.
Agreed. I think it could be in the yearly rotation. I don't think it would get old. And obviously, in large part, we should recognize Michael Keaton is fucking great in that first movie.
Incredible.
He's fantastic.
Yes.
He's so good.
I can't think of a Michael Keaton role that I really don't enjoy, to be honest. I was trying to think of it.
I agree.
In this movie.
I agree. I think
Michael
he's fantastic.
Keaton's a killer actor, dude.
Yes, I totally agree. And I love how fucking weird and absolutely batshit this performance is, particularly. In a way that I think very much distinguishes it from most of his other performances.
That's the thing about Michael Keaton too. I don't mean to get on like a Michael Keaton rant here. Michael Keaton can play Beetlejuice. He can play that weird guy from that one-shot movie, The Birdman.
Birdman? He can be Birdman, Mr. Birdman?
He can play fucking Batman.
He's fucking Batman. He's
the range
Batman.
of this man is absolutely incredible. Like you wouldn't catch Alec Baldwin playing Beetlejuice.
No.
He doesn't have that kind of range. He can't do that.
Wouldn't work. No, wouldn't work.
Michael Keaton can fucking do it because he's a machine, dude. He's a good actor. Anyways, carry on.
Anyways, we say all these nice things about the first movie. because again, I think it sets the scene for walking into Beetlejuice, or plopping on the couch, perhaps in your case. Of that first movie is great. I really like it. It's a Halloween classic. I could watch it every year. It's got so many good things. It's wildly creative. Michael Keaton's great. All that is to say, sequel's got a lot to live up to. So now the real second question is, did Beetlejuice stack up to Beetlejuice? Is it a worthy sequel? Even if it's not as good as the first one, does it still feel like it, like adds to the franchise? So, well, those are technically a few different questions, but I'll let you answer the ones that you feel like answering. And if you're not, you can just ignore them entirely and give me your overall thoughts on Beetlejuice. You do you, man. It's your podcast. You tell me. What'd you think?
I think that the second Beetlejuice is, the first. I don't know if I feel differently about this. I don't know if I would have felt differently if I did not revisit the first Beetlejuice.
I had that thought too. I think in some ways,
did I taint my experience because
it's a classic legacy sequel sort of thing where it's like sometimes where it's being too reliant on the original. You see the seams, right? Like you recognize like, oh, it's trying to do the thing again. And it's like, yeah, but you already did it once and you did it so well that just doing it again it's not as fresh. It doesn't work as well.
But so would it have
the
been
only
fresh
way that might have worked is if it wasn't as recent in my memory. It's like, oh, I saw that in 1988 and it was really funny. And now that it's been 30 years or whatever,
it's really funny again. Yeah. Right.
So I had the same thought. I agree that I think that in aspects that works against this movie. I think there are, not to totally jump out from under you. I think that like Michael Keaton is doing the same sort of zany performance, but I don't think that lost luster.
No,
I think Michael Keaton is great in this one too. Right. It's the plot sort of things, it's the Dietz family related sorts of things where it just kind of feels like, oh, okay, all right, I've seen this but better, and very recently at that. So I think maybe we'll end up in a similar place overall. Obviously, I haven't heard your other thoughts, but I do agree with that thought. So anyway, I will kick it back.
So that's how I want to start it out. Start it out with that.
Sure. And when did you watch this? Like relative to recording, just out of curiosity.
Monday.
3 days. Okay, yeah. So just a couple days.
Yeah, I watched it on Monday. No, or did I watch it on Sunday? Either Sunday or Monday. I think I watched it on Sunday.
2 to 3 days, roughly.
Yeah,
got it.
yeah,
okay.
Yeah. I think that the score is good.
Mm-hmm. Is it as good as the first one?
No.
Yeah, I didn't
still
think so
good.
Either. It's Danny Elfman.
It's Danny Elfman. It's okay. It's good. It's good.
Some of it's like obviously trying to bring back some of the themes of the first one, but it didn't. Same thing. It didn't seem to have the same sort of impact.
No,
but maybe it would. Maybe if I hadn't just heard it in the originals, it'd be the same thing. I don't know.
When I turned on that first Beetlejuice after not having seen it in like 10 years,
it's the first thing you hear, and it's just like, oh my god, this is awesome.
Yeah, I think I texted you in the middle of me watching. It's like, god damn, this thing is fucking good.
Yeah, right.
It didn't quite hit as hard the second one, but it's still it's still a good tune. Anyways, I didn't enjoy like the there were bits in the story that felt like they were like just some of it felt phoned in. You know what I mean?
Okay.
There's other parts of the story that feel kind of original, and none of it's quite as original as the first movie because it's a very high bar to set. But there were bits in here that felt more original than other bits. And the bits that weren't very original were very, you could call them out very easily. Like I think it's a predictable movie.
Sure.
And and I really didn't enjoy that whole aspect of it. You know what I mean? Like it felt like there's a couple of threads in this movie. I think that we could just do with one thread. The original movie was a 90-minute simple movie.
Right. And like this one isn't even long either. It's an hour 44.
Ooh. I didn't realize
I don't
that.
think it's
It doesn't play like that.
But it feels like a 2+ hour movie. Like when you said when we were talking about the first one, like it's a lean 90 minutes. I was like, and this one's like 2+ hours, and I looked it up. I was like, oh shit, it's not.
And I think this movie would have done better if it was a lean 90-minute movie.
I concur.
I think that there's more threads in here than there is substance.
Sure.
And as a result of it, some of it feels phoned in. There's oh god, I can't remember her name. Wednesday's in this.
Oh yeah, Jenna Ortega. She's right.
Jenna Ortega's in this, and I mean, don't get me wrong, she's got clout, right? And so she's kind of like the modern. She's like I feel like she's the pool for like a lot of. Oh, Jenna Ortega's in this, especially if you're a younger audience,
right? Sure.
I think she's underutilized.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know how I feel. I feel kind of conflicted about this movie. I really wanted to like it more than I did. I think that it's got good qualities, but at the same time, I bought this movie. There was a service that I was paying for that I'm no longer paying for.
Okay.
And so because I wasn't really using the service, and so I actually bought this movie for $20. I rented it. And I think that kind of tainted my experience as well.
Well, I think that was something I feel like I brought it up earlier because it's like a lot of the VOD stuff you can like rent it for $25, and it's like, oh my god, to watch it once or like 3 times in a 48-hour span if I'm really want to get my
into
money's
it.
worth.
Yeah.
At least with buying something, like it feels like, all right, maybe if you didn't love it, fine. But if you watch it again in like 3 or 4 years, then the value proposition gets a little bit better. So, I don't know.
See, the problem is with modern VOD.
But all you're thinking about is, man, I spent $20 on this.
I spent $20 on it, right? And you had to think about this because even if you buy the movie, there's a fairly high chance, right? Unless it's like a Dogma situation where you can't find that shit anywhere. Right. There's a fairly high chance you'll be able to find it on a streaming service, like one of the fucking 80 of them.
Right. Well, if you waited 2 months, it's going to be on Max or whatever.
That's what pisses you off. So I actually, I did the free sign up for AMC. We'll get it in catching up, and I watched the Late Night with the Devil.
Yeah.
3 days later, it's on Disney
Hulu
Plus.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Hulu and Disney Plus. Yeah. So
yeah, it's like, oh fuck.
Well, anyway, hopefully that was only a trial. So
it was only a trial. I have to make sure I canceled that shit. I don't think I canceled it.
That's where they get you. Is you?
That's where they get you for idiots. They're like, there'll probably be some idiot, and I'm one of those idiots that just fucking watch it and I forget to cancel it. But yeah, needless to say, it's not. I don't think it's. I don't. And I prefaced it correctly with I watched the original, which is a classic, right? Before I watched this movie. But I feel like that's kind of like a weak crux, right? Like you can still make a movie that you can still make a really good movie even if the last one was really good, especially if it's 20 years newer. You know what I mean?
Right.
Right. So I don't know. I enjoyed some aspects more than others, but I feel like the main through line. I think the staple to my feelings about this movie is it's too thin. I think that they spread the butter too thin. The first movie is a high concentrated dose of Beetlejuice, and it's simple, it's short, it's sweet, and you get a whole bunch of creativity in one bang, boom, you get it, and it's a good experience. And you leave, wow, that was pretty cool. This is. I think it's spread too thin. I think it's narratively thin. I think the performance, I don't think that all the actors got a lot of things to work with. I think some story elements are a lot thinner than others, and I think it's poorly paced. Yeah, that's it. I think the score is okay. It's not great. It's good. I'd say it's good. It's not okay. It's good. It's a good score. And that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I mean, so I saw this in a theater. I used A-List. I watched it, the sub 2 hours or 2 hours with trailers and stuff like that, and I had fun with it. That said, I agree with everything you said. I had fun with it, and maybe part of that calculus is I'm already spending sunken costs. I'm already spending the money on the A-List. I'm just having fun, for a couple hours in the theater. I'm enjoying it.
Totally fair.
It's a good
Probably
time.
a very different experience.
And but I think that there's something to be said about that could impact, how you mentally are approaching things. Is this worth the money that I'm putting in? And as it turned out, I think in September I probably watched Alien and Beetlejuice, so I really probably spent $10 on each movie, and I'm like, that's fine. That seems like a decent enough value proposition for these sorts of things. But at the same time, like I said, I hear everything you're saying. I completely agree with everything you're saying. There's 5 different storylines in this movie, and they needed to pick 2 max. Maybe just one. Maybe one would have been fine. Because I feel like the first movie has this level of simplicity to it, of it's the Maitlands, They die. They are stuck in their house. These weird fucks come in and invade and change their house, and they don't like that, and they get upset about it, and they've got this weird handbook for the dead, and they're trying to figure out how the fuck to navigate their situation and haunt these people and get them out of their goddamn house. And it's coming to grips with the fact that they died, coming to grips with the fact that they can't really do that much with these people, and and kind of what happens in this one. We'll get into more in spoilers, but there's a new villain, and then Beetlejuice has to come back into play, and then the Dietz family is reassembling, in this house, even though none of them have lived there, and there's more additions to the Dietz family because years have passed, and so Jenna Ortega's here, and she's got her own storyline too, and it's none of these are bad in and of themselves. But there is, like you said, it's spread too thin. There's just not enough substance to any of these singular storylines that really, takes it all the way. Takes it over the line for being a really successful movie. And it kind of just feels like it can't decide what it wants to focus on or what it wants to be. And so it tries to be all of these things at once, and it's just a little too chaotic for even a Beetlejuice movie, where it just doesn't really feel like it has the level of focus that it needs to have the sort of emotional impact or resonance or just joy, I guess, that you kind of get out of following the story of the Maitlands, which is, simultaneously tragic but interesting and funny and heartwarming and in these weird sorts of ways. These people died and it's awful, but they those two have such a connection to each other that we can't help but root for them, and and just kind of spend this these lean 90 minutes just really on their side. And here it's just kind of I don't know, man, everyone kind of sucks, a little bit. Not everyone does, obviously, but it's just kind of just you're just kind of watching things happening without a real stake in the game, I guess, if that makes sense. It's kind of just
who do you like?
There's a little, I think they try to make Jenna Ortega, I think probably the most emotionally resonant character, but they just don't give her quite enough to do, and it just doesn't, because of the structure of this movie, it's just not, she's not really the main character either. You know what I mean? There is no sort of real main character, and a lot of, if anyone's the main character, it's still probably Lydia, it's still probably Winona Ryder, but I don't know, her storyline is kind of, obviously important to this movie, but we got a complete story with her in the first Beetlejuice that I don't know is really furthered in any super meaningful way in this movie, other than the way that I guess she's integrated with her daughter, with Jenna Ortega. I don't know. There's just not enough depth or time spent with both of those characters or that relationship between those two to really make the whole thing work, because you've got the charade of Justin Theroux's character being a douchebag, and I don't know, and Catherine O'Hara being basically just she's just playing Moira from Schitt's Creek, which is fine. She's great, having a great time, and Beetlejuice coming in and being fucking zany and wild. It's just so much going on that it doesn't. Oh, and Willem Dafoe's in this fucking thing, and what the hell's
was
going on?
pretty good.
He's got
Now
he's
William
great,
Dafoe
but like,
was pretty good.
no one was bad in this. I don't think anyone was bad in this. Like I think everyone was actually very good and like enjoyed their their roles, little or mostly just kind of little or underdeveloped as they may be. I think everyone was good in this. It's just that almost everyone's kind of fighting for a piece of the pie, and like Willem Dafoe is a character where it's just like Willem Dafoe's entire character could be cut from this movie, and nothing in terms of plot would be lost.
No,
but you would lose out on the zaniness and how much fun fucking Willem Dafoe is having, because he's great. He's a joy to watch, and his scenes are very funny. But in a vacuum, they don't like. It's kind of a waste of screen time in some ways.
The Monica Bellucci, is that her name?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You could just have her, the Beetlejuice role, and Winona Ryder, and figure out how to write it from there, and then you have one singular story. You know what I mean?
It's just there's too much going on. It's pulled in too many different directions, and it needed to be simplified.
Yes.
I think to really narratively satisfy. So that's, I think, where it falters, and I think, unfortunately, that's what kind of holds it back from even being able to hold a candle to the original. Is it's just it can't decide what it wants to be. It can't commit to one particular thing, whereas the first movie does. The first movie is unabashedly a one thing, which takes you on a tour of, a bunch of crazy different little things along the way. But at the end of the day, you never lose sight of what it's about or who it's about. And this one did. So yeah, I mean, again, I had fun with it. I did have fun with it.
You didn't pay $20, you fuck.
But I didn't pay $20. So yeah, I mean, fair enough. Yeah, and then I guess I'm like thinking about like certain sequences we'll get into in spoilers. I'm like, oh yeah, that was weird. I feel like the ending was kind of. It didn't end. I think the ending is something that soured the pacing for me as well, as I don't think it had a particularly satisfying ending.
We'll talk about that, I suppose.
So yeah, I think that's another thing where I'd kind of like blocked that out as being like a thing that didn't really work. But I think, unfortunately, the last 15 to 20 minutes of this movie definitely don't help it. And that's not how you want to obviously end a movie. But I don't know if you share that opinion. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. We'll get into that shortly. But anyway, had fun with it. But it could be better, and there is a better version of it out there. It's called Beetlejuice. So
yeah, true.
It's fun enough.
If you haven't seen it, see it. It's good.
Yes, absolutely watch the first Beetlejuice, which is probably streaming, possibly on Max. I'm not sure how you watch it. I have it on Blu-ray myself, so that's how I watched it. But
I think I watched it on.
Looks like it's on
Hulu?
Looks like it's on. I think it's on Max.
Max, okay.
At least it might be on Hulu as well. Yeah, I think it does. It does seem to be on Hulu as well. So it looks like there's a couple different ways to watch it. So yeah, would definitely recommend the first one. But in terms of recommendations, now we must come to the part where we decide how we would recommend Beetlejuice, the second one. So obviously, baking in the caveat that this is available on video on demand. One of two of us saw it that way and can certainly speak directly on that, even more beyond, what you've already spoken about it. Would you recommend, I guess maybe we can just split this out into 4 tiers. See this in theaters, which is to say, see it as soon as you can, go to a theater, put yourself in that environment, phone free, better sound speakers, even if it's not Dolby and IMAX, obviously now.
Yeah.
Still seek a theater. Would you say spend the $20, watch it on VOD at home, or would you say wait to stream it? Maybe we can split it out into that. We kind of had combined the watch at home, but I think because of this unique situation with this particular movie, I think there's a clear delineation between spend $20 to own this movie versus wait to watch it in 2 to 3 months on a streaming service that you either already have and are paying for, or something that you could sign up for a 7-day trial, watch, and cancel immediately. In which case, no real
monies,
financial stakes, there. Or obviously there is the fourth category, which is wait till someone pays you to watch it. So I feel like I kind of have an idea of where you're at with this, but I want to hear you say it. So what do you think in terms of recommendation?
My recommendation for this movie is when you can watch it for free, you watch it.
Okay.
That's what I say. I'd say stream it. So, yeah. When you can watch it for free, when you can stream it on a service, go ahead and check it out.
So even if someone is listening to this, say on October 31st, which you may know is Halloween, they can't wait because, it's not on Max right now. Is it not? It's not even worth the $20 this very day. You don't think?
No. If given the choice, if I could spend $20 to watch this movie, or spend $20 and watch another movie, is this movie worth $20? I don't think this movie's worth $20.
Okay. Not even to own it permanently. Not even just to rent it.
Definitely not to rent it.
Well, yeah, that goes without saying, I guess.
Yeah,
Yes,
definitely not to
that's a
rent
fair
it.
point.
All
All right. You don't
maybe
if
if you buy the movie at $20 and you can incorporate it into your annual Beetlejuice, like
Beetlejuice-a-thon.
Your Beetlejuice-a-thon. Yeah, maybe okay.
Okay. All right. Totally
But
valid.
I would say if you have the option to buy this on Blu-ray for $20, I'd say you need to wait till this goes on sale and you pick it up for like in between $5 to $10. Okay. I think it's a $5 or $10 movie myself.
All right. It's not a $20 movie.
It's not a $20 movie.
All right. Well, I think that's valid. I think had I not seen this in theaters with A-list, I probably would have hesitated, with the benefit of hindsight, of course, to spend $20 on it to own it. I think I agree with that sentiment. And obviously the thing is, you want to watch it during spooky season, you pay the money for it.
You pay a premium.
That's the price you pay. If you don't really care that much and you're willing to wait until, December or whatever it's going to be streaming, I think that's totally valid. I think it's really going to be personal preference on like I think it's kind of the calculus of like, if you, Andrew Meadows, really, really wanted to see this thing, you probably would have made it to a theater. I mean, obviously, there were some things that held you back in the past few weeks, but this movie came out over a month ago. You could have seen it in a theater.
I could have.
If you were so compelled. If this was a Dune or Nosferatu type of appeal.
Right.
It was not, right? It was not that in the first place.
It was not.
And now that you've seen the movie, you can, reflect the quality. If this was the quality of the first Beetlejuice movie, I think you would say, I think the first Beetlejuice movie is absolutely a pay $20 to own kind of movie.
No, without a doubt. That's own it for $20 Bluray, 4K Blu-ray all day long, for sure.
Right. So this doesn't really, this falls short of that standard even. So, I guess I agree. Yeah. I mean, again, I enjoyed it. I had fun with it. I'm glad I saw it in the theater, because it means I didn't have to spend $20 to watch it at home. But in terms of like when I would watch this again, I would watch like the next time that I would want to watch this again or be tempted to watch this again is streaming. I would not pay $20 to watch it right now at home, having seen it once. I would pay $5 to $10 to own it though. So I guess I agree with you really kind of on that sort of like, that feels like a more like a fair sort of value proposition for sure. So yeah, I think we kind of agree. And I think we both agree. There's enough in it to certainly entertain you. It's certainly far beyond a get paid to watch it kind of movie.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But it's definitely
There's some good performances in here too. I don't want to sell anybody short.
Wait and stream it unless it really, really calls to you and you like super, super duper just have to see it, more eminently because it's, Halloween or because of whatever, so, and if you haven't already seen it and you fall into that camp, for whatever reason. So anyway, all right, let's do some spoilers then. Full spoilers for Beetlejuice.
I think it was Dostoevsky that said, "Later, fucker."
That was my favorite line in the whole movie.
That's pretty good. That's a good one. Beetlejuice is a fucking awesome character.
Beetlejuice is great.
Like, again, I don't want to sound like I'm so down on Beetlejuice. It just didn't deliver. It just didn't deliver on.
This movie delivered on Michael Keaton being incredible in this role.
It did do that.
This movie did not deliver on basically any other storyline, like Folie. Like some of it was like good enough, but like none of it was like
William Dafoe felt like he belonged with Beetlejuice.
Oh yeah, he was great.
William Dafoe, like settled right in. Oh, I'm playing in Beetlejuice. I'm gonna settle. This is what I'm doing.
And like Willem Dafoe is the perfect kind of like character actor to just fit in seamlessly in this world. You know, like has
William Dafoe always been that way? I feel like I guess I only ever knew him in Spider-Man, I guess, you know, but
even in Spider-Man, he was very over the top and theatrical.
I guess he was. What a guy!
I don't know. He's great. He's perfect. You know, and I think
he should be knighted if he was, if he was English, he'd be knighted for sure.
Well, he's American, but he hasn't been knighted yet. Still have to find out if any Americans have been knighted. But maybe I feel like I have to look it up now. It's been brought up twice. Let's find out. It's a very quick yes or no question. I would have to imagine.
Sir William Dafoe.
Bob Iger. Bob Iger's been knighted. Sir Bob Iger. Well, they're considered honorary knighthoods, which to me sounds like fake knighthoods. So I don't know if like, yeah, they're not entitled to use Sir or Dame, so it's like fake.
It's a fake knighthood.
Fake knighthood, we can't really acknowledge you because you guys are fucking technically traitors if you really trace back the history. So that would be poor form on our point. But honorary recipients include George H.W. Bush, Dwight D. Eisenhower, Bill Gates, Melinda Gates, Mark and Paul Getty, J. Edgar Hoover, Angelina Jolie,
really,
Ronald Reagan, and Steven Spielberg. A few others too.
Okay.
So there you go, Sir Steven Spielberg. Except you can't say that because we don't like the Americans that much. We do not bestow that honor upon them. Anyway, Beetlejuice. Willem Dafoe's great. Other spoilers that we were talking about, I don't remember. But Michael Keaton was great. I think I said that. The Dostoevsky stuff was pretty good.
Yeah.
Sorry if I'm just jumping around. In terms of spoilers, I think just really kind of breaking down, like, I think the number one wasted fucking storyline for me, which I thought was going to be awesome, was Monica Bellucci's, ex-wife character.
Yeah.
Because that whole scene of her being assembled was fucking cool.
That was cool.
Little Danny DeVito cameo.
Yeah.
Getting
soul sucked.
Blue janitor getting soul sucked. And it just kind of felt like she just walked around the whole movie. She just like walked into a scene like, and that was it. And then at the end, she just gets kind of dispatched in like 2 seconds. And I'm like, what was the point of any of that?
There was it's pretty thin.
It was just nothing. It's just nothing. It's like, all right, hey Tim, I get it. You like putting your wife in things. I get it, man. But
whose wife is Monica Bellucci?
Well, that's Tim Burton's current wife.
Tim Burton's current wife is Monica Bellucci? Well,
they're together. Let me double check that they're actually married. I don't know if they're technically married now. They're together, but they're not married. It would appear, because he used to be married to Helena Bonham Carter until they weren't, because she was in everything that he did for good span of time there. And then he's with Monica Bellucci now. Which again, hey Tim,
Tim's got it going.
Good for you.
Yeah, right.
Good for you.
Goddamn, Tim.
She tolerates your goofy fucking hair. Good for you. And so, like, you wanna work, make a movie and have your lady friend on set and give her a nice role. Like, I'm not mad about it. I might be mad about it if it was someone that wasn't Monica Bellucci, but I'm not mad about it, obviously. But it was a waste. She should have had way more to do. She was just kind of, I don't know. I was so intrigued by this idea of, like, I feel like, Beetlejuice's reactions to, like, being like, oh shit, because it was Willem Dafoe was like, do you know anything about this woman? He's like, like I really liked that, like, sort of idea, but then nothing happened with, like there was no sort of fireworks between those two characters. Like, nothing really panned out with that. And that was kind of, it just felt like wasted potential.
She's a soul sucker. You can say that again.
Right. Like I wanted something that, like in like the backstory, she's like from the Black Plague era. I'm like, I don't know, man. He fucking hacked her to
talking
bits.
in Spanish.
Oh, that was great. I really enjoyed that.
That was good.
Was it Spanish? Was it Italian? I feel like it was Italian. Maybe I'm wrong.
It's probably Italian. I'm sorry. It's pretty good. It was funny.
That was very funny. What else was there in terms of underutilized or underdeveloped storylines? Well,
I can tell you what the lamest one was. I was riding my bicycle and I bumped in this treehouse and this fucking guy was up there. And
well, you know what?
Well, he's dead.
He's dead.
And
but
saw
he's
that
not
coming.
just dead. He's not just dead. What else is he?
Oh, he killed his parents.
Yeah, sure did.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of lame.
Yeah.
What's up with the wedding? You talk about the wedding?
Is it like the ending? Like the ending of this movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
mean, we can save that for last if you like.
No, we can go there now because honestly, that's where my memory of this movie starts to fade. And I think I can actually point to one thing. When you watch it in a theater, when the credits come on, the house lights come on, you can start, you can see your seat and you can kind of, like see things so you don't trip over yourself when you're leaving the theater.
Yeah.
The house lights came on about 15 minutes before the end of the movie. And
What?
so that whole sequence, I was like, oh, this movie must be over in like 30 seconds. And they just came on a little early. But it was a whole sequence where these lights were on. It was just like, oh, I can see everything in the theater now. It's not like the big cleaning lights, like the overhead lights, but it's, enough
It's
that
the hallway lights full brightness. Yeah.
Right. It takes you out of the movie or I'm just like, oh, okay. Like what's, so I do feel like I was a little distracted watching the last sequence, but it felt like the song that they picked. Number one, I have no idea what fucking song it was to this day. I cannot tell you what song it was.
Cake in the Rain.
I feel like it, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's, a personal thing. Not nearly as iconic as Deo. That's like it just didn't, like immediately just feels like this doesn't have the same sort of
not at all.
cultural resonance.
I had to look it up.
That the Banana Boat song has. So it's kind of just like I don't really give a fuck. This doesn't mean anything to me. Number two, it felt like it was like 10 minutes long, and it
was 10 minutes
so
long.
fucking long, and I'm like, I'm bored. This is the same thing again, but worse. That's not good. That's not what you want to do, and like. You haven't really done the same thing but worse. You've just done a bunch of little things not as well as they could be done. And nothing has been outright like rehash, it's the same thing, but we're doing it 30 years later, so it's like funny again. Like they really hadn't been doing a lot of that, I didn't think, until the very, very end. And it just kind of felt way too much of a lazy rehash that just didn't play well with me, and then it had the extra layer for me personally on top of being like, oh, this must be almost over, and then it kept going and going and going and going, and I'm like, this is gonna end at some point, right? And then there's the dream stuff at the end where I'm like, how fucking long is this movie?
I don't know what's going on, to be honest with you.
I don't either. I still don't, because it's like there's the baby Beetlejuice thing, but she like there's a whole extended like she's having a kid, but then it's the baby Beetlejuice, but then she wakes up again, but then maybe Beetlejuice is in bed. I don't know. The whole last 15 minutes kind of lost me, and so like I feel like my review up to this point has kind of just been like, I'm just throwing that to the side because I don't really remember that well. So I'm going to talk about the actual 90 minutes that I processed and remember.
Right.
And I had fun with those 90 minutes. Imperfect, but I had fun. The last 15 minutes, I don't know what to say to that. So those are my thoughts on the finale,
on the 90 minutes,
of this, which is to say, I don't know what the hell happened in those 15 minutes. So I don't feel like it was a satisfying ending. You could certainly speak to that.
I can't speak
more
definitively
recency.
because I'm not quite sure where it ended.
Like what's the intent?
Like was it a dream? But how much of it was how much of it was a dream? You know what I mean? Like I'm not.
Yeah,
quite,
I don't know.
The biggest thing is do I don't want to sound like too dramatic or anything because it's a Beetlejuice movie, but
Sure.
I haven't gave it a fleeting thought. Like, I didn't quite understand how it ended.
And you're like, I'm good. All right, see ya. Good night.
That's it. Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think that's how I feel. Like I didn't even think about it until it was just like, oh yeah, there was an ending.
And it was kind of shit. Like, I'm not quite sure what happened.
But I think it's because if the first 90 minutes of this movie was the equivalent in terms of quality of the first Beetlejuice, and then there was that 15 minutes tacked on, I would be pissed. Right?
Yeah, you would be pissed, or you would dig real deep to try to fucking figure it out. One of the two.
Right. But it's because the 90 minutes is like, it was fine. It was kind of disposable, and it's like, the whole thing is kind of disposable, and so it's kind of just like, well, I don't care.
And that, my friend, is why it's not a $20 movie to own.
Of course. But I had fun, but I'm like, I don't know, man. You wanted me to explain that ending? I don't remember the ending. I don't remember it that well, to be honest. It's been a month since I've seen it.
I haven't thought about it.
I'm reading about it on Wikipedia right now. I'm like, oh yeah, okay. I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Definitely. I remember everything else in this movie, but the last 15 minutes are a blur. Just a complete blur and black hole in this movie. So I don't know. Other spoiler thoughts. I have two things. I was shocked at how much they invoked the likeness of Mr. Pedophile himself. Obviously, the claymation and stuff.
The clay thing, yeah.
Which was kind of interesting, but it's kind of just like, I mean, you know who it's supposed to be. Like, I'm sure they didn't have to pay him royalties or anything like that, but it's kind of weird to use his likeness. It's a little weird. But the other thing, which I'm now blanking on. God, how could I blank on it? Bob,
the shrunken head Bob. MVP,
yeah,
dude. MVP.
I fucking loved Bob.
Bob hiding under the desk, fucking sweating and shit. Oh, that was the best. I like Bob too.
It hurt my heart when Bob was killed.
She soul sucked Bob.
And that's fucked up, man. You can't do that to Bob. I really, really liked Bob. So I think, if we're talking like MVPs in this movie, Bob, obviously, Beetlejuice himself, sure. Yeah, it might be those two. And Willem Dafoe, maybe.
I enjoyed Willem Dafoe
as a number two, like kind of disposable, not totally integral. Bob, I think, is integral to things.
Like, you get Willem Dafoe. Like, what do you think Willem Dafoe got paid for this movie? He's surely he commands some dough. Surely.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably. I feel like he does a lot though, so I feel like he's not like getting multi-millions of dollars, but maybe a cool $750,000 to $1 million for something like this. Maybe I don't know.
Okay.
Because like Michael Keaton's probably making like fucking $5 million for this movie. He's probably making bank. I don't know. I feel like at some point we should just make that public information. Like, here is your fucking stated contractual value, your figures. Because you always get like Robert Downey Jr. Like, he's getting paid $50 million to be in Avengers. It's like, Jesus fucking Christ, are you serious? But it's like, how much are people actually getting paid? Because I feel like a lot of it came out like Chris Hemsworth, when he made the first Thor, is getting paid like $200,000, and obviously like at a certain point that contract was absurd for obviously how popular those movies were and stuff like
Marvel
that.
won on that one. But
at the same time, you take a step back and you're like, I would love to get paid $200,000 to win a movie.
No kidding.
You know what I mean? So, there's obviously sort of a level of absurdity that you have to ascribe to it all anyway, given, how much money you and I make in our personal lives on a yearly basis.
And how much are you earning for how much are you by yourself earning a giant machine like Disney, right? Or WB or whoever. Right. I don't know. It's a thing.
Anyway, I think I'm good on Beetlejuice.
I'm good on Beetlejuice, dude. Beetlejuice was my thoughts on it are thin as the movie, or just like the content of the film. It's thin.
I probably had more thoughts on it a month ago, and they have evaporated with time. But that's okay. If Beetlejuice had a more lasting impact, the things would stick in my brain. Like that fucking Dostoevsky line, man. That was good. That's a good line. All right. So, since we last convened to talk about Alien Romulus, it's been an interesting time in Florida for you, obviously. So what's when do you fill the listeners in? Obviously, on kind of what's been going on
past couple months, or not past couple months. I guess the past month.
Yeah.
Florida's been pelted with hurricanes. You got
a good double dose there, right?
Yeah, we got a little double dose. We got Helene, which was, don't get me wrong, I mean, we saw a little bit of it. My dad saw a hell of a storm surge. My dad actually acquired the neighbor's home because the neighbor said, "Fuck it, I'm out of here," after the storm surge of Helene. So that happened. They left their boat, they left the house, they left it all. We're out. We're done.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so, the storm surge for that one was like, I want to say it was like 15-foot storm surge with Helene on the coast.
Yeah.
Just fucking serious, especially if you're a single story home like theirs. And they had just put their house back together from last year's hurricane.
Yeah, I guess it makes sense to walk away and be like, yeah, that's right. It's just you're
especially when you're home. Like, we have these conversations. Like, you don't have these conversations. You probably haven't thought about this stuff in a long time. But for the Floridians, the conversations now are,
well, plus insurance costs too.
Let's talk about insurance. That's what I was getting to. So we talk about insurance, right? Take the neighbor. Neighbor pays for flood insurance, right?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And it can cost, I mean, if you're on the coast, I mean, it could cost anywhere from 10 to 15 grand a year, depending on the house. Maybe it costs more than that, right? But whenever it floods and it destroys absolutely everything inside your home, especially if it's a single story home, everything's on that single story, right? And then you have a 15-foot storm surge and the water just fucking stays there for 3 days or whatever, right? You have to gut the walls. You got to gut the electricity. You got to gut all the furniture. All of it's done, and your insurance company gives you $8 grand for a policy that costs 13. Fuck you! Like, what are you gonna do, right? And then there's other stories where like the house wasn't up to code. Like, it's like a little bungalow, like a beach bungalow, right? Mm-hmm. And then it floods out and it's insured, but and you got to take all the stuff out of it. You got to gut it. Right. Okay. So I got it. Well, now it needs to be brought up to code. And now code says it needs to be a 2-story home. It needs to be on stilts to allow storm surge. Well, that means I have to level the fucking home. Right. So yeah, that's crazy shit. Oh, it's awful. People are getting hammered, dude. It's awful. It's terrible. And then inland, there's been so much development where we're at, so the second storm that came through here in Zephyr Hills, we're in Zephyr Hills in Dade City. There's been so much development. There's this golf course. And this golf course has been there since the, early to mid 90s. I never had any flooding issues whatsoever. It's Silver Oaks or Silverado, I think it is. Anyways, I never had any flooding issues. Well, they developed the back side of this just on the outside of this golf course. Well, when they developed it, it flooded the entire golf course. Right? It was flooded before Helene. They were pumping water before Helene because the pump stations were overloaded. And then we got Helene. And then we got Milton. And the places they're talking about, the sewage is inside these people's homes. Sewage is inside their homes. It smells like shit. It's terrible. It's crazy.
It might literally be shit. Yeah.
It is definitely literally shit. Like, they showed it on the news and it was like maggots and shit crawling around on the floor. Like, it's crazy. It's truly awful. So anyways, needless to say, we spent 5 days without any power, which, boo-hoo, but I don't have shit floating around in my house either. So yeah.
Could be worse.
It could be worse.
I mean, you guys are obviously a little further inland, so you're...
Well, we don't have the storm surge issue.
Right, you don't have the storm surge. You're insulated from that, but obviously you've got other fucking issues to reckon with.
So the biggest issues with where we're at is because we were just north of where the hurricane Milton made landfall. We got the rough part of the winds. The biggest problem is we had the rain from Helene, and we had the in the rain from before Helene. So the grounds inland were very saturated, plus all the development that's happened lately. The water can't drain and flow like it used to. And our area is loaded with old trees and oaks and stuff. So what happens is when that ground's real soft and you get, 120, 130 mile an hour winds, well, it just pushes the trees over. And if your house is, surrounded by trees, your house just kind of gets crushed.
Sure.
So there's been a lot of loss of property. I don't think that we've seen the loss of life like they have up north after Helene, in the North Carolina area. They got absolutely Florida. If we flood out, you might lose your house and stuff and this and that, but you can take an airboat through the swamp, through the water, and pick you up, and you can find dry land somewhere on a boat because it's all flat. But if you're in the mountains and there's 2 roads into your town and those roads get washed away and then you're isolated on the side of a mountain and then, everything else floods out, there's just nothing you can do. It's truly terrible. Helene fucked up the mountain, the Appalachian area. It's really fucked up there. Been a rough hurricane season for a lot of people.
I feel like this year definitely more than, not obviously it really depends on where you are, but I think particularly in terms of impact to Florida, I feel like this has been the worst season in recent memory.
It's the most, last year was real rough for down south when they thought it was going to hit Tampa and then just curved up and hit Fort Myers.
I guess that's what it is. I feel like a lot of the tracks have always kind of put you it's going to be fucking bad. And I feel like Milton was really the first one that it was just kind of even though it did actually, I feel like veer ever so slightly south and maybe not completely, fucking destroy Tampa as it was once projected to. It had that path and it was going through the whole fucking state, it was west to east, just sweeping through the state, Tampa, Orlando, go offshore on the Atlantic side. And it was just brutal. Yeah, I don't know. Every year, obviously, there's something that hurricanes are serious fucking business. They're obviously leaving impacts every year somewhere.
And you think that we would
this year felt a little different.
And we've talked about this. We talk about this a lot, but I guess the conversation always is what's good enough. Not necessarily how can we make it to where we're not impacted. It's never how can we not make it to where we're impacted, but how can we make it good enough? And so it's a tough discussion. Our area is overdeveloped, and it's developed very quickly, I think, with a lot of short-sightedness. So it's caused a lot of problems. So, anyways, this is a film and television podcast, not a engineering or insurance podcast or whatever. You know what I mean? But this is catching up. This is a catching up section, and this has been your life for the past past month
weeks or whatever. So past month, yeah. So and is certainly at least in part to blame for why we haven't recorded since Alien.
True.
True. We're feeling better and everything, and we've maybe watched a thing or two, or you might have watched another thing or two if you had fucking power for a week. So it's definitely been. And you've got baby at home.
Oh yeah, that's
wife.
True. So we're very fortunate. We got knocked
shit
out of power.
going on. So
so there's one tree in the backyard that I was real worried about. It didn't fall. I got a new roof this year, which held up beautifully. I felt very confident about it. It was very good, and it was awesome. I didn't have any roof problems. I didn't have any tree problems. The only thing I had was power problems. And I'm solving that next year with I'm going to get a big ass generator and a big ass propane tank, and we're going to solve that problem next year. Just cool.
A little bit of fence damage, but just
so I have one of those
stuff.
white PVC fences, and they kind of just blow apart. I wasn't missing any pieces, so I kind of just put it back together the next day.
Gotcha.
So that's cool. One of the trees fell on the fence and it kind of bent it up a little bit, but I'm going to move that fence line up for various reasons. So nothing that cost any money aside from the fridge. We lost all our food, right?
Yeah. Well, right. Yeah. Power without a week, kind of. Yeah. That's how it goes.
It is what it is. But for the past week, we've been eating over at my in-laws, so that's cool. We bought some of their groceries and whatnot, made them dinner one time. Life is good. Life, very, 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 very fortunate. A lot of people, like the car lot's booming. We're very, very, very busy at the car lot because everybody lost their fucking cars. They're either flooded or crushed. So a lot of people are really, really hurting. And it's, you hear it day in, day out at work, just people trying to replace their property. And it's, it's put a lot of people in a really rough situation because Zephyr Hills is all retirement. It's all trailers and shit. And these trailers, dude, when I tell you that it's almost like you took a can of Chef Boyardee and just fucking peeled the top off of it, that's identical to that's what they look like. When we drove through Zephyr Hills the day after, aside from the flood, so we're driving through flooded roads. You can't barely see the lines on the roads because it's covered in water, and then all the trailers are just peeled up.
Interesting. Yeah.
Crazy. It's crazy shit, man.
Crazy shit.
Yeah.
Don't miss living in Florida. Not to rub it in.
Yeah. So it's been a wild ride. I'm very fortunate. Everybody in my vicinity is very fortunate. Family's good. Everybody's good.
Which is good. Obviously,
yeah.
That's very good.
So if you're good, it kind of hey, what can you do to make other people good? You know what I mean? Just that's kind of the nature of it. And nothing kind of brings people together like really shitty circumstances, which is kind of refreshing. It's that part I will tell you is actually very nice. There's been one singular focus of people's like I guess anger and people's like normally it's always politics and stuff, and it's not really politics right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's actually kind of like pulls everybody's focus in a little bit, which is pretty cool, I think. Anyways, I did watch a thing. I watched a thing on Netflix. Sarah and I did.
Okay.
It's called You Didn't Ask for This. No one asked for this, I think, or something like that. It's Kristen Bell and
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I liked it. I actually liked it quite a bit. I thought it was cleverly written.
It's a TV show, right?
TV show, Netflix show. Okay. It's like 8 episodes or something. I think it's charming. I think it's witty. I think it's funny.
Nobody wants this.
Yeah, it's about this atheist chick meets up with this this atheist chick who hosts a sex podcast, meets up with this rabbi who's recently like split up with his fiance, and and it's kind of like these two like meshings of the world, they're meshings of these two individuals, and I think it's really well done. I think it's really good. I was entertained by it. In between, Love is Blind. I've missed the past couple episodes of Love is Blind.
Did they just put some more up, or is that not?
Yeah, I think
yet?
It's up to episode like 11 or 12 or something. I think they're at the proposals.
The weddings.
Or the weddings, yeah, they're weddings.
Yeah.
Should say. Bullshit. It's such bullshit. You get married, fucking talk to somebody for 2 weeks. Anyways, it's
talk to somebody. Really, just talk to somebody. And that's it.
Yeah. So that's I think the season's wrapping up or very close to. Sarah's further than I am. I won't catch up. She left me, and I will not know how it ended. She'll have to tell me. If something really hot happened, she'll say, "Hey, you got to watch this," and she'll put it on and rewind it, and I'll probably get sucked into it. But I also
how would you say this season compares to prior seasons?
I didn't know this was like season fucking 7, dude.
Yeah, my frame of reference is only season 6, which is the only one that I've mostly watched. I missed a few of the pod episodes and then got sucked into the remainder of it. But
I don't remember all the episodes. I remember the super dickish Indian guy.
Okay,
you remember him?
That must have been an earlier season.
And I also remember that guy with the big teeth that makes all the faces. He's like a GIF guy.
You told me about him.
that guy's the worst. There's some individuals on this show. There's some fucking people.
Hey man, this one's in DC. I could probably find these people. Just drive a couple hours.
This one's got some people too.
All right, some characters.
There's this one guy.
I think we're going to go on at some point, but we have not done so yet.
There's this big curly-haired guy, and he's like, "Oh, this guy's pretty sweet. This guy seems like a good guy. He's an electrician. He's real modest. And they make it through the pods or whatever, and then, he starts to get a little weird. And
okay, Intriguing.
He's over. They're at like an event. You know how they have the events where all the people show up,
Right. Yeah.
and he's talking to this other girl, and he's like, yeah, sometimes you just get there might be times where, you might get tempted to let somebody just suck your dick. And it's like totally at a white ring, totally at a white wing. And you're like, whoa, dude, that's oddly specific. That seems kind of weird. And then come to find out, like at the end of the episode or the next episode, he went to a sleep study, and he was texting some wild shit to some person. Okay. Anyways, they broke up. Okay. He's like, I'm just going to leave now. No, I don't have nothing to say. I'm leaving. He just bounced. So that was kind of funny. Anyways, so Love is Blind. That's a thing. What else is there? I watched Late Night with the Devil, which I thought was...
Oh, yeah. How'd you like it?
I thought that was a super awesome show. That is one that's wildly creative. I thought it was very good.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
I thoroughly enjoyed that one. I watched Last Night in Soho.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Late Night with the Devil was I thought that was a better movie. I think that your Last Night in Soho was more of like your release it in October, and you're gonna get everybody, like it's got some big names in it, and I think you'll probably pull a lot of people in. It was cleverly made. I think it was just, I don't want to say it was thin, but it was just like I don't know. It wasn't as narratively captivating as Late Night with the Devil or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably agree with that. I think as I recall, I enjoyed both.
It was a Hollywood movie. It was a very much
right.
I think
it's like one of those movies that, like, if Edgar Wright was not the one directing it, it would have been a lot worse. If that makes sense.
That's true.
Like,
yeah,
I think,
definitely.
Like, his kind of
I would have been a lot less interested.
Right. I think he kind of elevated that material in a way that I liked it a lot. It's not his best. It's but I think that in lesser hands, it would have been a mediocre horror movie at best.
Absolutely.
And
no doubt.
He took it from that to a very stylistic, pretty good horror movie that I liked, but I do agree. I
didn't dislike it.
Was better.
But it wasn't, when you put Edgar Wright on something, I'm
amazing.
thinking Baby Driver. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah.
So I watched those two. I started this, there's this trilogy called, I started this like the day of I started it the day of the hurricane, and I couldn't get through it. It wasn't moving. Was like we all want to be at the World Fair or something. If you heard, I think it's we something about the World Fair, and it's got like this girl, and it's got like this
trilogy.
Creepy, yeah, it's part of a trilogy.
Like a trilogy.
So there's we all want to be at the World Fair, and then there is what is it? I can look it up real quick. I can tell you. World.
We're all going to the World's Fair. Is that it?
Yeah, that sounds like it.
Must be it. Oh, this is the one that apparently is connected to I Saw the TV Glow? Is that?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I didn't realize that was... Is it the same director? Is that what it is?
It is the same director. She's got like
Okay.
And it's supposed to be like it was just real slow. Like I wanted to get into it. It seemed like it was going to be super creative and kind of like a commentary on I can't think of the word. The feeling of not being in your own body. God damn it. I can't think of my words. I'm at the end of my bottle of wine, so I'm getting less. I can't even think of that word. I can't think of it. What the fuck is it? The person, the director is not. Would it be cis? She's non-binary, I think, or they're non-binary.
So yeah, what I was gonna say. So then they would probably.
And I think the movie's supposed to be a commentary of not feeling the feeling that I can't describe it. I don't know. I don't know. But I wanted to get into it, but the movie was too. It's runtime of 86 minutes. I got probably 3/4 of the way through. I'm like, oh god damn. Like it was just really, really, really just dragging on, and I couldn't get through it. I wanted to.
Interesting.
But
some reviewers have interpreted the film as having themes of gender dysphoria.
That is exactly what I was looking for. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So it makes sense. The director is non-binary, so they
is that right? That
is it
right? I want to make sure that I got that right. I'm pretty sure that they're non-binary.
Yes. Yes. I'm just looking at their Wikipedia page, and that seems to be yes. Yep.
Yeah, and I think that I saw the TV glow as a further exploration
of that,
exactly. Yeah. So I kind of I saw the TV glow look like it was super interesting. So maybe I should revisit. We're all going to be at the World's Fair to watch the evolution of this director, because sometimes that's really fun and exciting, like the people that are now directing like Moorhead and stuff,
right, that's
Vincent
true.
and Moorhead. You watch the exploration, like how these directors grow.
And they like those guys really developed their craft, obviously, as they went,
and that's really cool.
You might say the same thing with,
I feel kind of bad for kind of like
Schönbrunn. I'm not sure how to say their name.
Being
Schönbrunn.
Not finishing it out, but at the same time, Sarah woke up and it's like, this is like going to be a hard.
Well, it doesn't sound like you have a lot left, so you could always go back and then maybe roll right into TV Glow, which I think it's streaming somewhere now.
I think they're all on
Hulu, maybe
something like that. It was fair. I think it was Amazon. I think I watched it on Amazon.
Okay, yeah.
Anyways, but
I don't know.
That's something that's. And there's novels and stuff coming out about the trilogy. So evidently something.
Well, apparently I saw the TV Glow as the second entry, so a third entry has not happened yet, is what I'm understanding.
Yeah, so there you go. So I did that. I had a birthday come up. I'm on my 33rd trip around the sun.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, we're a couple days removed, but and I did say it to you in person. But happy birthday on the pod as well.
Hey, thank you. We're on the 33rd trip around the sun. I am with child now, little baby child. He is doing well. I've gotten into magic cards, as you probably know.
Sure.
And I got some magic cards for my birthday, which is cool. Life is good. Life is pleasant. It is good. Can't complain about a whole lot. Aside from the fact I was robbed for my Halloween. I get one month to watch,
all the stuff.
All the stuff I kind of want to watch.
You had some fucking hurricanes to deal with, so
yeah, and it's even harder now because baby can't sit there and fall asleep watching movies, so I gotta wait till after 9.
Right, you can't have something too intense on there. That's probably poor form. Now that he's a little bit more probably cognizant of the things around him.
Exactly. So I got to be mindful of that. So that leaves me watching movies after 9. It's it's fucking late after,
That's a recipe for you falling asleep halfway through a movie.
Yeah, if I make it halfway. We went to Disney World. That was fun. Baby loves Disney World.
Well, that makes sense.
I love Disney World. So that's fun. It's cool. Everything's really good right now. It's been good. It's been awesome.
Good.
What have you been up to, dude?
Let me tell you all about it.
There was one thing. Sorry.
Oh yeah. Go for it.
All of my in-laws, so my father-in-law, mother-in-law, sister-in-law, and her boyfriend, and Aunt Robin, which is Sarah's Aunt Robin. And her husband, they all went to Rome. They all flew to Rome today.
Oh, okay. Cool.
And they FaceTimed me. Sarah's mom FaceTimed me when she was going to dinner, and I saw the Colosseum over FaceTime, which is very exciting.
Nice. Cool.
However, before they left, I was trying to get them in the mood while we were living with them. I was trying to get them in the mood to like, let's watch all these Roman movies. And we didn't quite make it to we watched Da Vinci Code in hopes to get to Angels and Demons, but I didn't make it to Angels and Demons.
You gotta watch Angels and Demons. It's fucking insane.
I didn't watch that one.
You gotta get there though.
I'd never seen any of these. I wasn't allowed to watch these because they were like anti-Christian.
Oh, sure, yeah. Of course, yeah.
So I watched Da Vinci Code. It's a pretty interesting movie. Like the thought of, I will say it's. Yeah. I think it's a poorly executed movie.
But it's like fun though at the same time.
It's like yeah. It's like National Treasure, but super serious.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's cool. I like those
but
movies.
It is kind of in the same vein though. Yeah. Angels and Demons is absolutely unhinged.
Is it really?
Worth a watch. I mean, is it? I mean, it's not good. But it's very entertaining. I'll say that was one of the ones that we watched. I think on the way back from our Europe trip.
Oh, did you really? Okay.
Yeah, we watched it on a plane.
It's a Italian. It's a visiting Italy staple.
Oh yeah. No, I mean I don't know if I do it on every plane ride like there or back, but it was a good thematically connected sort of movie to watch that was just absolutely hilarious. Good 2 hours of entertainment on a plane. So
Sarah's dad, we showed up for my birthday, and Sarah's dad says, because we before my birthday we got back home, so I showed up for the birthday. They had dinner for my birthday, and Sarah's dad says, "We watched Angels and Demons," and I was like, "No, you didn't." And he's like, "Yeah, we did." It's like, "How was it?" He's like, "Oh, it was crazy."
That means not wrong.
It went everywhere we're going to be in Rome. I was like, "Oh, good. I'm glad you guys got to watch it then." So, try to get them to watch The Gladiator. Unless they watched it on the plane ride, I don't know if they got to watch it. So, anyways, I digress. Yeah. All you now, dude.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. So, I feel like I struggled to like think about like what I've been up to in the past. I mean, it's been over a month since we talked about Alien, and I'm like, I've definitely been doing things. I just don't know what the hell I've been doing. We did talk about it briefly on Alien. I think this is a factor. Is I have a new job. My hours are a little bit more structured, so I've probably been working more, which is probably leaving me less room and opportunity to do the fun things that I like to do. But it's okay because I like my job. But in terms of just like stuff that I definitely could remember that I'm watching, I feel like I'm you every other episode of this podcast. I'm like, I don't remember, like I can't remember this shit. Role reversal. I did watch a movie on Netflix by the name of Deux Revenge, which is not something that I sought out to watch. Anna put it on. I missed probably the first 5-10 minutes and then got sucked in because, it's one of those classic things.
Okay, yeah.
You just watch it for 5 minutes, like, oh, that's kind of interesting.
Give it a shot.
It's so the two main characters are Camila Mendez, who I know from Riverdale as Veronica, and then Maya Hawke, who's Robin on Stranger Things.
Yeah.
And also the daughter of Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman. It's like a high school sort of thing where basically these two team up, basically to get revenge on bullies who have wronged them in the past. And it's twisty and turny. It's very colorful and very stylish, which I really liked. I really enjoyed that. And those two they have really fun chemistry with each other. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. Sarah Michelle Gellar is in it as the headmaster of the high school. Sophie Turner's in it in a very kind of brief but memorable role. It was fun. It was on Netflix. I had no idea what it was till I, watched, just kind of got sucked in. I had a lot of fun with it. So I actually would recommend it. And it's on Netflix, so nice and easy to watch. In terms of my Halloween-y sort of things, I want to watch Agatha, which I know you've watched some of. You didn't talk about, but I'm hoping maybe we'll cover that once it's wrapped up. But it's not done as of recording this. I think it'll be done, on 30th or 31st.
Really close to Halloween,
like
yeah.
Yeah, I think they're doing a double episode to like finish it like by Halloween happening. But in terms of the things that I have been doing to celebrate spooky season beyond watching Beetlejuice a month before October, we started another season of American Horror Story, which is on, I think we're watching on Hulu now. This one's Coven, which is, witches, bitches. It's
is this a new one?
No, this is going back. They have like fucking 20 seasons of American Horror Story. This is the third season. The first season was Murder House. The second season was Asylum. This one is Coven. It's kind of the same show, but
this one's
it's
set in
got
Louisiana.
witches. It's set in Louisiana. Yes,
Yeah,
it's set in Louisiana. Yeah, and it's like the school of witches. It's got some Suspiria vibes, like OG Suspiria vibes, but then it's got like a bunch of weird other random shit thrown in there because that's what American Horror Story does. Is just throw all of these like kind of horror tropes and genres into a blender and call it a day. I don't love it, but it's like fine. It's like schlocky, enjoyable sort of things, but it's not really what I like in horror. It's really not. So, I'm making it through it, but I don't know. It's not, it's kind of a fun tradition of watching these seasons every year, but I thought that this was going to be closer to like the types of horror that I think I enjoyed. And then within 5 minutes, I was like, oh no, this is still the same show that it's always been. So I kind of like been trying to recalibrate my expectations. Like, again, it's enjoyable. It's schlocky. I don't mind that sort of thing. I think that there's a very specific type of horror that like can kind of like, that is really fun and really enjoyable that hits that sort of mark. But this, I think the biggest problem I always have with horror stories is always trying to do too much. Yeah. And it's like, I think if it reined it in a little bit, not even in terms of tone, but in terms of focus, it's Beetlejuice in it is really what it is. It's like, you got to do 5 things. Just pick 2 max, and just like go all in on the 2, not just, well, what if you did this, it's like, all right, take a chill pill, pick a few things. And so I think that's kind of where I feel it is a little lackluster in my opinion. Yeah. It's just very unfocused. But I've heard good things about this season, so it might also just be throwing a lot at you in the first few episodes and then settling into itself potentially. Because I think it's 13 episodes and we've watched like 4, so it'll probably be a dragging into November type of show anyway. I want to watch some other horror stuff, but beyond that, like Agatha is definitely on the watch list because it feels like it's definitely got the right vibes for it. Again, probably sort of on the schlocky side of things, not like a true like horror, like fuck you up sort of thing.
No, definitely not.
No, I mean I know it's not that. I'm just saying like I would like to have something like a little bit more along those lines, but I was thinking I
think we're gonna get that on Jesus' birthday. I think it's just delayed.
That's true. I just got to save myself for that. I was thinking I might turn to video games. I honestly thought about queuing up Alien Isolation. Because I feel like that might hit the mark. I feel like I bought The Quarry last year, or I could, pick up Until Dawn again. Like those sorts of things.
That's a good
like,
one. That's a good one.
Yeah. Kind of want to do those.
Alien Isolation is going to be hard to finish. That would be a hard game for me to play.
Yeah. I know. It's a tough one. But I did pick up a game, which is something that you and I played a long, long time ago. Because I was just like, I want something. I was somewhere else. I was out of town. I'll get to that in a second. And I needed something to kind of just fill the horror void of like, I want to have a little scary thing and wanted to play like a horror video game. I had the Switch with me.
Okay.
And so I bought, because it was on sale for the little Halloween sale, I bought the Ancestral edition of
Darkest Dungeon.
Oh, that's a good one. Okay.
Executed with impunity.
Yeah. That's a good game, dude.
Which is cool. Obviously it's like a rogue like. And a
lot of fun though. It's real cool.
A lot of fun. And it's an old game now. I think the second one just came out pretty recently within the past year or so.
Where does time go?
I know, right?
It's not that old of a game, surely.
It's probably been around for like, I would say at a minimum 5 years.
God, where does it go?
Probably longer than that. The first Darkest Dungeon came out 2016. So,
almost a decade.
Which was after a year-long early access development period. So, oh man. So yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, no, but it's cool. I mean, you've obviously played it. I think we played it on Steam probably around the time that it came out, or at least
never got very far in that game. It's really fucking hard.
Well, I think it's it's one of those things that like it is supposed to be hard, and it's a roguelike, so you get better and better at it and figure it out, and people are gonna your characters are gonna die, but you get more of them, and you eventually get where you need to be. So I'm like super early in it. I'm still trying to like kind of learn and really hammer out the mechanics of it, getting back into it, having not played it for many, many years at this point. And playing it on the Switch a little bit too, like the UI of it feels very PC-like. So I feel like it kind of controls a little.
Doesn't translate well.
Yeah, it's not like awful, but it does feel like a mouse and keyboard kind of game. But I wanted to play it, and it was on sale, and I think I'll just get used to it. It's probably how it'll end up, but I'm enjoying it. It's the right vibes. It's definitely hitting the right vibes. The gothic horror sort of.
That's cool. It's a very cool
really
game.
Fun and cool. The voiceover and then the narration and stuff is really kind of epic and just kind of gives it this sort of feel, and music and stuff. So it definitely scratched the right sort of itch for like what I was looking for, and I definitely have gotten more and more in on roguelikes and roguelites and stuff in that sort of genre. Like I don't do all of them, but I'm
not here for a long time, but I'm here for a good time. You know what I mean?
Right. I spent stupid amounts of hours in Hades. Inscription was fucking awesome. So Inscription's a great horror game recommendation if anyone's looking for one.
I don't think I've heard of that one.
It's really good. It's like it's on. I think it's. I played it on Steam, but I think it's on other things. I know it's on Switch for sure now. It's kind of it's like it becomes a few different types of games as it kind of.
Oh no, I have heard of this game. You recommended this game. This is when you're in the cabin.
I played it. Yeah. I play it, and it's like a card game sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it evolves. The game itself, it's a little bit more than what you see on the surface, and it's really neat how it does it. I want to do a little bit more horror stuff, but we'll see what happens, with the little time that's left in October and stuff like that. So I don't know. Catch me on the next episode, and I'll tell you if I've done anything else. But
is Inscription anyway. On the? Is that on Switch?
It is on Switch. It's on sale now too. I think it's like $10, $11, something like that, which I think is worth it. I think I paid full price for it on Steam, which was not super expensive, but it's
I have it on Steam, but I'm never on the computer, so maybe it might be a good idea to have like a nighttime video game to play it in the bed. Yeah,
no, I think so. I think it would be good. So that's kind of what I've got on the doing things front, or watching things front rather. On the doing things front, I should say. We made a trip up to Vermont. We just got back last night, actually. This was our kind of fall trip, which we didn't end up doing last year, so it was nice to go up there. Obviously, the foliage up there is beautiful. It was pretty warm, actually, but it was nice. We got to get some fall activities in, had some cider donuts, walked around, enjoyed nature, that sort of thing. Read a little bit. Nothing too didn't get too far along with anything, so I don't really have anything to offer on what I've been reading too much. But once I finish something, I'll check in and give that sort of update. But it was really nice up there. Last time up there for the year. It was a short trip, always too short, but enjoyed it. Parents were in town, saw the new house. Obviously, I haven't really said much about the house this time. I think I've given pretty exhaustive house updates in past few episodes, but they inspired us to finish up. We needed to do a little TLC with like the third floor bathroom and guest room, which you will be seeing pretty soon yourself. Sizzle. And so the house is in pretty good shape. We're not 100% there, but it's in really good shape overall, and it was nice to kind of really show off most of the finished product to them, and we'll be obviously cool to show it off to you as well. And so I think the biggest reason that I cannot think of things that I've been up to in terms of like, oh, I watched this show, I watched this movie, blah, blah, blah. I've been watching a lot of sports. I really have been watching a lot of sports.
Okay.
It's playoff season for baseball. The Braves made an early exit, which was not unexpected. It was, it was fine. They did better than the Rays, though. Although the Rays would have a tough time playing at home right now.
That's true. They have no fucking
the roof at the Trop got blown away. But Dodgers Yankees World Series is not the most exciting prospect for me on a personal level, but I'm sure the MLB is salivating about the money that they'll be making from it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Hockey, Flyers have started. I don't know how the Lightning are doing in the early season.
I don't know. I haven't watched it.
Flyers look like ass, my dude, so far.
No good. They'll get it together.
It's fine. They're young. They get a lot of young people on the roster. They'll probably sort it out, do a little bit better. Probably not, quite playoff contenders this year or anything like that, which is fine. On the hockey note, I didn't bring it up on the last episode. It's not is just a very sad situation. I don't know if you followed any of this story with Johnny Gaudreau, who's had most recently played for the Blue Jackets. Great hockey player, young guy, called, they nicknamed Johnny Hockey. He was killed in a awful accident with his brother. It's a super, super fucked up, tragic situation that I am not going to spend 5 minutes getting into and getting emotional about because it's just really awful. But basically, he is kind of a local guy, was born, raised New Jersey, was a Flyers fan. Flyers fans always really, really wanted him to be on the team. We're pushing for the team to sign him, and, our fuckhead old GM never did. But there's been a lot of really great tributes to him and his family, and hockey season's kind of been a little bittersweet because of that. Just because it's just a really, really awful circumstance, and it's just kind of a big cloud over the hockey season this year, I think, because of that. So
I'm reading about it now. It's pretty shitty.
Yeah, no, it's just, I'd say don't drive drunk, but I think the bigger issue is don't drive like an asshole. Don't be a fucking prick on the roads is maybe the biggest takeaway to have there. But anyway, in terms of other sports, college football obviously is happening. We got a Florida-Georgia game coming up.
Yeah, we do. Yeah,
which would be interesting. Florida is better than I expected based on the early games, but not good. And Georgia is probably not the world beaters they once were, in the past couple of years. But they're pretty damn good.
Beat number one. Although I'll tell you what, though,
they beat number one. They lost to Alabama, who lost to Vanderbilt, who lost to someone else this past week. I already forgot who, but a game they probably should have won. And Tennessee, they lost to Tennessee. And then, so it's I feel like there's a good amount of parity in the top, I think Georgia probably has a good argument to be number one in the country. I mean, Oregon's there because they're undefeated as of recording this, but I don't.
Oregon's always good. Oregon's a good team,
but I don't if you ask me who would win between Georgia and Oregon, I would probably pick Georgia. To me, so I'll be curious to see how things play out in the college football realm. If Florida can make a bowl game, they can scrape their way to a bowl game. Hey, I'll be happy. So it's the little things in life, So, especially on the NFL side, Jaguars are fucking dog shit, even though they shouldn't be. So, I'm spending a lot of my time with sports and stuff. I'm thinking so. This is kind of an aside, last thing I'll have for catching up. It's not really catching up because it's not anything I've been doing. Because of our weird weird recording schedule, there's a couple Netflix things that have come out that we haven't really either talked about or we talked about kind of in the early days of when they were far, far away. But there's two Netflix animes that I am kind of semi-interested in watching. There's the Terminator one, Terminator Zero. And then there's the Tomb Raider one, Lara Croft Tomb Raider. which are both out. I feel like I've heard like, pretty decent things about both. Like, I don't know that either is supposed to be amazing.
Are these supposed to be same studio that did Castlevania?
I don't know if they're the same studio. I feel like animation style is comparable. I don't know if it's. I don't know if it's. I don't think either of them are literally the same studio. If that makes sense. Like I think they're making more of Castlevania Nocturne is probably what that studio is up to. But I feel like if they are in the same type, same vein, like that's intriguing. Like I like both of those franchises. I like Terminator. And I feel like Terminator, to me, a Terminator anime makes a lot of sense in the way that like
cool.
Stop making more Terminator movies because they fucking suck, these days. Like, like I don't want any of that. Right. And like Tomb Raider, it's like, well, a movie could work, and obviously games can work, but like I don't know, like a anime with Haley Atwell voicing Lara Croft sounds interesting and neat and kind of up my alley. So I'd like to check out both of those, but I'd also like to check out about 800 billion other things in my life. And I
started that Blue Eye,
everything. So you did. That's right.
I started that Blue Eye Samurai. I didn't finish it yet, but that shit's
finish it.
Fucking cool. Blue Eye Samurai dropped those weights and shit. It's the classic. It's the classic, like, cool. Samurai or, like, Goku move where you have all this weighted shit and you just take it off. Like, I got my ass kicked because I don't have it. Fuck you, I'm taking it off now.
Yep.
And that was really cool.
Yeah, very cool. Anyway, that's it. We are long-winded here. We've done a lot.
That's what happens when we don't hang out for a month, dude.
I know. That's what happens. So we're going to try to be better about that as long as, whatever fucking tropical storm hurricane we're up to doesn't come in and fuck things up yet again. Our hope is to have the next episode recorded and out certainly sooner than the gaps have been between these episodes of late. So that's the hope. That's the aspiration. That's the ideal. We'll see what happens. No promises, but hopefully things will pan out the way we intend them to. So anyway, that is it for me. I'm going to call it there, wrap it up so we can keep this
so we can go to bed and go to work.
Longer. So we can go to bed and go to work. Yes. The things that we crave and enjoy in life. Thank you all for listening. If you enjoyed what you heard, please spread the word. We are on Patreon at patreon.com/watch-review-repeat. That is very good for early access to all of our regular episodes, which again, I've said this before. It's very, very helpful when we record these things, and it takes me weeks, months to get them out to the masses in a nice edited form. If you want to listen to them first before anyone else, if you can deal with a couple coughs here and there and and whatever else is going on, we try to trim out the long gaps of silence or anything like that. But otherwise it's like 98% the same stuff. All you got to do is go to patreon.com/watch-review-repeat. If you send $2, just $2 on a monthly basis, you get access to all of those episodes. Once we start pulling out, some more bonus episodes, you can listen to those before anyone else. You get a shout out on our website. I don't think we talk about that a lot, but you can get a shout out on our website. That's really cool. That means a lot. So yeah, hop on it if that sounds intriguing to you. Our website is watchreviewrepeat.com. We are also available on many social medias. We are on Twitter at WRRPod. I don't know how long we will be on Twitter for because Elon Musk has decided that any image uploaded will be helping generative artificial intelligence, which is not really great because all of the he's doing Andrew's showing Elon Musk's super cool serious face that he's doing it. One Donald Trump.
It's fucking weird.
Yeah.
What a spiral! I don't even.
I hope that we can both acknowledge that Elon Musk sucks now. I think there was a time where I think
I was a little bit on the fence.
Probably both of us thought, oh, he's an interesting guy.
Innovative.
He's done some cool stuff. SpaceX and
pushing the envelope
cool shit going on. Right, and I think we can probably now just safely agree he's a bit of a fuckhead. Yeah, I think just this whole idea of every time you upload an image to Twitter, that it just is getting spewed into this whole thing of this image
his
is
Gronk,
going
his
towards
Gronk AI,
his Gronk AI or whatever. It's like that's shitty in and of itself, but also like 90% of the visual information that we're using for our images are just movie posters and stuff like that. So we would be taking content from movie studios and feeding that back into his shit, which I'm sure is going to happen anyway, of course.
Yeah, can't avoid it.
But I don't need to be part of that. So so it might be time for us to hop on over to Blue Sky or Threads or something. I don't know. Go hang out with old Zuck. Very normal man, Mark Zuckerberg, and his shit. I don't fucking know.
There's no correct answer. Not anymore.
Yeah, it's all a bit of a shit show, so I don't fucking know. But anyway, for now, we are on Twitter, I guess. For now. Maybe not as of
X,
listening to this
formerly
episode.
known as Twitter.
X. No, I don't do that. But we're also on Facebook, facebook.com/Watch Review Repeat. Again, hanging out with our very normal man friend, Mark Zuckerberg there.
Looks like he's fucking creatined out or whatever the fuck he takes, whatever that Creedom or
Instagram at Watch Review Repeat, I believe. Questions, comments, or suggestions, you can send those our way to watchreviewrepeat@gmail.com. If you've got something to say, send it our way. And we should hopefully have time for some like more listeners' corner-y type things on the next episode. I think we'll be a little less stuffed and obviously catching up from a month plus absence. Our intro and outro track is Mechanolith by Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com, licensed under the Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license. Our next episode, I think Andrew might be pulling the $20 plug again. We'll see. I don't know what the options are, but I think we want to.
We're gonna roll the dice.
Gonna roll the dice. This one's got better reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, though. The Wild Robot is what we're looking at. We're talking about, which I think the teaser intrigued us. It looked pretty good. I've seen good reviews. I've been meaning to watch it in theaters, and I haven't done so yet. So if you take the $20, plunge, I might have to do the same. So we'll be in it together this time.
There we go.
And then maybe we'll do Agatha all along after that, once it's wrapped up and we've both had a chance to watch all the episodes, which may not be right away. But it could be a, November-ish, a good spooky season kind of thing to do. Which is to say we'll be skipping talking about Joker, obviously, then, beyond laughing about it on this episode. And it also means I think we're going to have to skip Venom, last Venom. The reviews are out today. They are what you'd expect them to be. Surprise, surprise. And what I will say is our time is precious. No, thank you. Those days are over.
I'm like, those days are behind us.
The days of watching Venom and Joker.
I feel like maybe if we had like it would be cool to have like a
if I got paid to do this as my job, maybe.
It would be cool.
Even then, maybe.
To have a what do they call the news reporters that go on scene? You know what I'm talking about? Like
correspondent?
Correspondent. Like, hey, we're gonna phone in over here to our correspondent to check out this shit movie. And like we have like a designated guy that just goes and watches movies that we don't want to watch.
Right in at watchreviewrepeat@gmail.com. If you want to be the guy, our correspondent that watches shit and reports back to us, I'm happy to entertain that possibility. You will get paid nothing.
It'd be like a Daily Show correspondent. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. Of course. Yeah. No, I know what you mean. I think it's a great idea. Yeah. I just don't know who the fuck's going to sign up for that. But hey, I am willing to be wrong. I'm happy to be wrong. So if that intrigues you, and Joker, Folie, Deux, and Venom, the last Venom are movies that you're like, I might see those. Like I think I want to see them anyway, or it's just like, hey, I'll do it just so I can be on this pod. Hey,
we've got a spot for
let
you.
us know. Right in. Anyway, until then, if that happens, or until the next episode, whatever the next thing we do is, I think it's time for you to say goodbye and take the listeners out.
Take care now. Bye-bye then.
Laters on.
Laters on, Minjay.